Your insurer repairer of choice. Visit completewindscreens.com.au.
Around 10 people have been killed in a school shooting in Sweden. Police are working to determine those who've died. The attacker is believed to be among them. The Swedish Prime Minister has called it a very painful day for the country. Nine's Europe correspondent Edward Godfrey says it's possible there could be more victims.
The campus is called Risbergska, a school for mature-age students, pupils sheltered in buildings at the campus while the shooter was active. It's understood the shooter is among the dead, so the threat may be over, but police believe it was a lone attacker. They're not calling this terrorism at this stage.
The state government says the Whyalla steelworks can't be allowed to fail despite creditors remaining unpaid and the Premier revealing grave fears for its future. Almost $600 million taxpayer dollars are also on the line, with a green hydrogen plant being developed at Whyalla. Its biggest customer would be the steelworks. The government, though, has grave fears of Sanjeev Gupta's GFG alliance being able to fund the steelworks' future. An 82-year-old woman is the second person to die in floodwaters in North Queensland. A neighbour discovered her body in a cane paddock near Ingham shortly after floodwaters receded. River levels are falling slowly. 8 flood warnings remain in place. Police Chief Superintendent Graham Payne says there's still a lot of people unable to return home.
Still got a lot of people that are displaced from their homes and from their families. We've still got a number of isolated communities. I want to thank the community for their cooperation as we've worked through the evacuation processes, and we're now going to try and support and work with the councils and look at the modelling to try and return people to their homes.
A UK court has heard Sam Kerr feared for her life on a late-night taxi journey before she was dropped off at a police station. The Matilda star has been charged with racially aggravated harassment of a police officer following the incident in London. Audio of a police interview is played in court, the 31-year-old saying she felt very threatened because of how she's been treated and for her life in the cab. A girl has died after being left inside a car in Sydney's southwest in rising temperatures. The 1-year-old found unresponsive in the car, which was parked outside a childcare centre. The male driver made the discovery and called 000. Police Superintendent Christine McDonald says it's a deeply traumatic event.
A male occupant of the vehicle has been taken to hospital. He is suffering shock and he is currently being assessed. Once he is able to, we will speak with him to obtain more details.
A huge step forward for an Australian firm in the development of a daily pill to treat one of our biggest killers. Nine's Gabrielle Hodson.
A New South Wales biotech company has grabbed a gong, with the World Health Organisation setting aside the generic name ermestetastat for its new kind of Alzheimer's medication. This recognises it's the first drug in its class of enzyme inhibitors which aim to target cortisol synthesis in the brain. The firm, Actinogen Medical, has actually given it the brand name Xanamem and has been conducting trials to see how it can slow cognitive decline. News Corp is reporting that if all goes well and the final trial results are available next year, the drug could also be used to treat Parkinson's, depression and other related illnesses.
Turning to 5AA Sport.
Call Gliderol now. Order a new door with operator before the end of February and receive 2 extra handsets.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Matthew. Sam Constas will return home from the tour of Sri Lanka to play in the Sheffield Shield. The Aussies are preparing to play the second test against Sri Lanka in Galle, which begins tomorrow. He won't be in that side, so will instead play for New South Wales, with Shield action to return around the country this weekend. Top of the table, South Australia will take on Western Australia in Perth. Let's go to football, and the Crows and Port Adelaide will both train this morning as pre-season continues. Veteran Matt Crouch will address the media following Adelaide's session. Meantime, Sydney boss Tom Harley has declared securing Chad Warner's signature is one of the Swans' top priorities. The 23-year-old comes out of contract at the end of the season and has been linked to a move back to his home state of Western Australia. To basketball, Luka Doncic has revealed he thought it was April Fool's Day when he was told he'd been traded to the Lakers. The trade from Dallas to LA is being regarded as one of the most significant in NBA history, with Anthony Davis moving to the Mavericks. Doncic says after the initial surprise, he's excited for the move.
I was almost asleep, so when I got a call, I had to check it was April 1st. I didn't really believe it at first, and it was hard. It was home. So it was really hard moments for me, especially the first day. But as I said, I get to play in the greatest club in the world.
And that is the 5AA Sport.
Turning now to 5AA's
The
forecast.
heat is on. Keep cool with a cool summer aircon service from Automasters.
Sunny today and 31, 34 for Adelaide tomorrow, 29 on Friday, and the weekend hovering around 30 degrees. Right now it's 17. 5AA, always Adelaide.
Hi, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, the Lynn Andrews team have made it easy for landlords to manage residential and commercial property. From single homes to multiple commercial holdings, our passion for property investment means we have a great deal of knowledge. How to do it safely and properly, matching the right tenant with the right property every time. We're here to help you. Visit lynandrews.com.au.
Get saving now with City Discount Tyres. We're offering great deals on the world's top brands in tyres, wheels, suspension and parts. Suitable for four-wheel drives, SUVs and passenger cars, including Falcon, Michelin, Pirelli, Kumho, Hankook and many more. Finance options available. Search citydiscounttyres.com.au and locate your nearest dealer today. City Discount Tyres. We're driven by value.
City Discount Tyres.
Luxury meets off-road in the Madigan 16C. Comfortable, durable and ready for the wild? Get yours today at Austrac Campers.
Austrac Campers.
Honda's huge stock clearance is on now. This is your chance to unlock great offers across the entire range at Formula Honda, Glen Osmond and Modbury. From free scheduled services to price reductions on selected build years. There's a Formula Honda offer for everyone. Don't wait. Hurry into Formula Honda at Glen Osmond Road, Glen Osmond or North East Road, Modbury to find your perfect Honda. Offer excludes additional maintenance work or items. See honda.com.au for terms and conditions.
The Unley Road Association presents An Evening Under the Stars, a magical outdoor concert featuring adults.
Adelaide wakes up with 5AA, David Penberthy and Will Goodings, Tom Wren for sport, Jade Robran on the scene as it happens, Graham Goodings and Jess Adamson with the news that matters to Adelaide. Breakfast with David and Will, bringing together the names you trust with everything you need to know to start your day. Always live, always local and only on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
These apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
8 minutes after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Wednesday on 5AA Breakfast. It is the 5th of February. Wednesday's always fun. Sean Fuster will join us. We'll go around the courts with Sean after 7:30 today. It means a touch of etiquette. At 6:30, we'll jump into questions of etiquette, many of which are nominated by our listeners these days, which we always appreciate, and 8223 or the Police Home Care text line, 048008 1395. We're going to also be having a chat over the course of the morning with David Kosh. Might not get his take on the fallout for Australia in this tariff war. There's been some developments overnight between the United States and China, some retaliatory tariffs from the Chinese government. We'll be talking to Koshy about that. And then after 8:30, Gary Marsh. You might have read Gary's story in the Tiser just recently. A firefighter battling a form of lymphoma that firefighters are exposed at a far higher level of risk than most people to these sorts of things. They're just not covered particularly well. We're going to be talking to him about that fight, both physical and against the powers that be in terms of him being paid after 8:30. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, listeners. Good morning, Will. Now, folks, this is not some sort of sham broadcast a la Orson Welles telling people that the city had been overrun by aliens. I'm telling the truth here.
I'm excited.
It's currently 17.
17?
17.
Yeah. It's safe to go outside.
Yes. It's quite cool outside.
Come out of your hovel.
Yeah.
And just cool off.
Come out of your refrigerated incubators.
No, I think
re-enter normal society.
We haven't yet created air conditioning technology that's up to the task of this.
No.
I think it fights a losing battle at this point.
Yeah.
The heat's too entrenched. You can only go outside right now to get cool.
Yeah, but it's cool. And the apparent temperature is 15. So it actually...
Wow. And you said there's a bit of a breeze outside.
Yeah, a bit breezy. It was breezy out in our yard this morning. But yeah, Had a bit of a 70s flashback last night. Well, guess what I did with a few friends?
Can you say on radio?
Didn't involve keys in a bowl.
Okay.
We had a slide night.
Oh, wow.
We got
Who
out.
has a projector?
My mate Paul has a projector. So he's done a couple of trips and he's very adept at making. Well, he actually used the more high-tech, I believe it's called PowerPoint. He had digitised photographs. But I said to him, I've got 3 packs of slides that I have not looked at since 1988 of all these photos that I took when I was 16, when I spent that year living in Mexico as a Rotary Exchange student. I said, I literally have not seen them for almost 40 years. So there's 3 packs of them. And it was just fascinating. Like
Had they held up? The quality was still good?
The quality is unbelievable.
Yeah.
The quality of them, I've had them in a drawer, so they've been in a dark space in my study, in my desk drawer there. So they haven't seen daylight for, the better part of, 35 years? Crazy. More than that. It's almost 40 years. But it's something, I reckon a lot of our listeners have both fond and also tedious memories of slide nights in the 1970s. It was a huge thing. As a kid, I can remember going to Grandma's. We used to go to Grandma's every Saturday night, pretty much, for dinner around the corner there in Waterman Terrace. One night she said, Elsie down the road's just come back from Fiji and she's invited us down for a slide night. I reckon we were there for 5 hours.
Oh, God.
And Elsie was saying, this is the resort we stayed in. This is the driveway into the resort. As you can see, very densely forested. The entry to the resort, beautiful palm trees.
Oh, it sounds horrific.
Here's some more palm trees.
And you inflicted this on one of your mates last night.
Well, no, the really good thing is, I don't know how I did it, but it's like every single aspect of this crazy 12 months that I spent over there is documented with a whole, there's sort of 3 photographs of one group of friends, 3 photographs of the Teotihuacan pyramid that I climbed in just outside of Mexico City. But the good thing is, you know how sometimes your mind plays tricks on you, and you start wondering if the telling of a story has taken on a life of its own with the passage of time, or perhaps was it even true in the first place? Now, I've told you how at the end of our school year in Mexico, the teachers organised a cockfight, haven't I?
Yes.
I started to doubt whether that even happened.
Oh.
I was thinking, did that even really happen? Would the school have put on a cockfight for the year 11
You've
kids?
got photographic evidence.
I've got photographic evidence of a cockfight happening at school.
That might end careers, that photographic evidence. You might need to keep that in the attic.
Tell you what, can you imagine if a story broke in Australia that a school had covertly organised a cockfight as an end of year celebration for the students?
It would end careers instantly, I think.
I reckon Blair Boyer would have something to say about it.
I don't think he's a fan.
Nah.
And I haven't even explicitly say that, but I'm guessing.
Just for the benefit of animal lovers out there, it wasn't my idea, and frankly, the whole thing was appalling. But, we can't sit in judgment of everything every other nation on earth does. In
Cultural relativism, I think they call it.
It's banned now, though. You can't do it.
Okay. So now it just is bad.
They've woken up to the errors of their ways.
Rob says on the police home care text line, it sounds like the slides have held up better than the photographer. Thank you, Rob. It's 14 after 6. You might have a slide night horror story of your own you'd like to share.
Seriously, get your slides out. You can probably buy a projector, like in a junk shop, second-hand for $10 these days.
Sounds like they hold up okay after 40 years.
Getting all the slides into the chute takes forever. And then I did it, and I realised I remembered to put them in upside down, so I had to do it all again. It was a very long night.
Mark on the police home care text line simply says, those poor mates. We're going to take a break. News headlines coming up next.
Ever driven a better car than yours? Now you can. The Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai. From $46,990 drive away. Visit your participating Hyundai dealer today. T's and C's at hyundai.com.au.
Adelaide's local, trusted and truly connected talkback radio station. 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Dockside Festival returns this Feb at the historic Hearts Mill in Port Adelaide. Over 2 vibrant days, this free family event celebrates the Port River with water activities and live music on the wharf. Dive into interactive workshops, the best street food, plus creative installations showcasing the area's thriving art scene with exhibits, performances and local makers. Mark it on the calendar. Dockside Festival 8th and 9th of Feb. Celebrate the port, the river and its people. docksidefestival.com.au.
Start your caravan or motorhome journey with confidence at Camper Agent RV Supercentre. For a limited time, we're offering massive savings and 3-year extended warranty on eligible pre-owned motorhomes from Kerr and Talbot. There's also great summer savings across our huge range of brands including Winnebago, Windsor, Corrimal and Adria. Make 2025 your best year ever. Visit Camper Agent RV Supercentre Parafield Gardens to find the perfect RV to start your adventure.
Insight Vacations' big tour sale has arrived with Phil Hoffman Travel. Save up to $3,000 per couple on select worldwide tours in 2025, including the 22-day Britain and Ireland Discovery Tour from $11,499 per person. Indulge in fine dining, stay in hand-picked hotels, experience insightful encounters, and enjoy more experts, more insights, and more of the experiences you love with Insight Vacations. Visit pht.com.au.
Unique. Loyal, fun-loving. That's what we look for in our pals. When you're next spending time with your best friends, don't forget some of the best pals you can have. Parafield Airport Liquor Store has your everyday favourites right through to those hard-to-find products. That's what great pals do. Sam and Jamie from Parafield Airport Liquor Store know every drop on the shelf, so you can always rely on their advice. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals. Next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
How far would you go for your dream kitchen? And how far would you go to not deal with organising all the trades? How about 15 minutes up the freeway to Balhanna Kitchens by Design? To the largest showroom in the Adelaide Hills. Custom build your dream with our award-winning designers. Plus, we can manage the installation and all sub-trades at a fixed price. Balhanna Kitchens by Design. It's not too far to go to make your dream a reality. balhannakitchens.com.au.
Cup of tea, dear? The kettle's on. Would you like a cup of tea, love?
If you're concerned about hearing loss for a loved one, book an appointment with Can Do Hearing. candohearing.com.au. That sounds better.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Hyundai's Keys to Summer event is here. Unlock offers across a wide range of Hyundai models. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
18 minutes after 6, let's jump into the news headlines on this Wednesday, the 5th of February. A P-plater has been busted drink driving in Highbury, 30 years of age. He wasn't just drink driving; he was completing the whole idiot sandwich. He was also going 97 in a 60 zone on Lower North East Road. Correct. Breath tested and then returned a positive result of .093. So he'll appear in court at a later date. So you're going 50% above the speed limit and you're twice the legal limit. That puts you. There should be a new category of driver-related crime called you hit the sort of couldn't give a stuff threshold.
Yeah.
Where you haven't just accidentally crept over the speed limit, or you didn't time your drinks, or maybe it was a too generous pour that got you to .052. It's in the the law doesn't apply to me sort of behaviour.
Yeah, you've ticked every box. And I wonder why, I said this the other day about another one of these older people with their P's. Has this guy just got his P's, or is he on his P's because he's
It's a great question.
Something that starts with P and ends with the word head?
Well, maybe they shouldn't get a P. Maybe you've been done, you should go to a D.
Well, yeah, we'll get a different coloured P plate so people know you're a drunken idiot.
Yeah. Sorry, he was on his D's.
Bring in an element of shaming.
Why don't we do that? One person has won the entire 100 million Oz Lotto draw. One person. There was one Division 1 winner, a woman in Elizabeth Hills in Sydney's West. What's Elizabeth Hills like? Put it in Adelaide terms.
Pretty earthy.
Okay.
Sort of like, Davern Park type area.
Late night
A
phone call.
knockabout suburb.
Late night phone call. She was told she held the only Division 1 entry. Imagine getting that phone call. That made this woman the Oz-Lotto's biggest individual lottery winner in Australian history. 100 mil.
That's incredible. Did you read about the story a few days ago? There's a woman in Adelaide who won, not Division 1, but she won about 30 years ago, or maybe less, she won $360,000 in Cross Lotto. Last week she won $367,000.
That's not right.
I know, how good's that?
Research suggests, this is poignant for South Australians at the moment, 65% of Australians are struggling to cope with hotter weather. Today is the nation's first ever Extreme Heat Awareness Day. Sweltering City's Emma Bacon says the initiative aims to promote community safety and provide guidance on dangerous heat events.
But the important thing is to remember is that no one isn't at risk. We all need to make sure we're drinking enough water, we're looking out for each other, and we're playing that.
So it's 65% of people. I reckon it's higher in Adelaide at the moment.
She from the Bleeding Obvious Institute. Yeah. Read that first sentence again.
65% of Australians struggling to cope with hot weather.
Well, there's a bombshell. Seriously. And the advice, folks, make sure you drink some water.
Drink water.
Yeah, cause
stay out of the sun.
One thing, I'm no scientist, but my understanding, the human body needs water to survive.
Are you suggesting it's going to be an early day for the Tizer today because the front page tomorrow is already...
Stop the presses.
It's written itself.
That's right.
An Australian biotech company's been given the green light to develop a once-a-day pill which can slow cognitive decline in dementia patients. Speaking of front pages, this was on the front page
There's a good
today.
story.
This is an amazing story. Actinogen Medical has been developing a drug called Xanamem. It's probably pronounced slightly differently, but we're going to become across how to say it because it's been recognised by the World Health Organisation for having properties which can slow the progress of Alzheimer's. This sounds like a remarkable discovery.
That's great. Apparently, it says positive results from 2 important phase trials which focused on patients with cognitive dysfunction and depression and mild to moderate Alzheimer's have paved the way for larger trials, and it's hoped the final results will be available next year. It's terrific.
400-something thousand Australians affected with Alzheimer's.
It's a terrible disease, isn't it?
Mm. Australia set a global meat record last year. The record for exports, with sales of meat up 40%, the country producing somewhere between 55 and 60,000 tonnes. Tim Jackson is a global supply analyst for Meat and Livestock Australia and says only about 10% is consumed locally.
We sell it all over the world, but undoubtedly our biggest export market is actually the United States. So quite often, a bit over half of our goat meat went into the US. And then a pretty wide variety of other countries. We've sent quite a bit into China, sometimes into places like Malaysia.
Tim, stop talking. Stop mentioning trade deficit. United States.
I know.
Shh, Tim.
We're going to have, Donald Trump's going to hold up one of his white A3 sheets tonight with his Sharpie. And we got a lot of goats here in America.
A lot of good meat.
A lot of good goats. A lot of edible dead goats. Why are we bringing them in from Australia?
People need to stop bragging about exporting to the US just for a little while.
You know what we should talk about more on the show, Will?
What's that?
Slide nights. The text line has gone off.
Oh, we'll take us through them.
Mike says, good morning. We loved having slide nights. My brother and I would laugh when Dad let out an angry growl when a slide was upside down. Another one here. Dave and Will. Dave, you've taken me back to my childhood when dear Dad had so many slides. I've kept them in the original box, now 60 years old. We still have the original projector. And helpfully, someone here has said you can get them digitised. Indeed, you can. And people have, a number of people have mentioned Hutt Street Photos, that wonderful little photographic store on Hutt Street. A good place to go if you're doing passport shots. They always get them right. They'll get your slides and turn them into a JPEG or a stick of JPEGs, or probably just email them to you these days, wouldn't they? Or airdrop them. I understand you can do that.
Yeah, airdropping. It's all the rage. Kevin seems to think you can just get your own device these days to do it.
Really?
Technology must have come a way in these slideshow to Digital World. Thank you for those updates. 0480081395, the police home care text line. A bit of talk about the weather. The headline of this morning is it's only 17.5 degrees. That apparent temperature, as David said a moment ago, about 15, and a little bit windy. Southeasterly it is, 25 to 35 k's an hour. Once the sun comes up, though, it's going to be sunny summer Adelaide. 31 degrees today. We're going to get to 34 tomorrow. Then it drops back to a maximum of 29. The overnight lows, though, do speak to some relief. So 17 again tomorrow and Friday. It drops down to 15 on Saturday when the maximum is 28. Sunday it drops to 14 overnight, and then we get to 32. Then the real heat returns. Monday, top of 36. Tuesday, top of 39. With the overnight low again, 25. So it's going to be seriously hot. You cover the barbecue to protect it from the sun. The same goes for you. Be smart, sun smart, and cover up. It's time to talk sport because Tom Wren joins us in the 5AA Breakfast studio. Morning to you, Rennie.
Morning, Will. Morning, David. Boys, you've had a bit of time to digest what has happened overseas, and we've got this ongoing trial with Sam Kerr at the moment. Before we go any further, I'm sure most people have heard or seen some of the footage that has been released by the courts as that happens. Let's have a bit of a listen just to reset and let people make up their own mind before we have a bit of a chat.
Did you stay on the phone long enough to even speak to someone?
They
That's the
hung
thing.
up on us.
Okay, but they wouldn't do that though.
Oh my God.
They wouldn't do that. You should have spoken to the...
You guys are f***ing stupid and white. Honestly, you guys are f***ing stupid and white.
Okay.
I'm looking you in the eyes. I'm looking you in the eyes. Like, I'm f***ing stupid. I'm f***ing over this shit. This is the world f***ing problem. Wait on the call. Wait on the call. Wait on the f***ing call.
Alright, I'll go over at the moment then at 3:17. You're under arrest for criminal damage because there's an allegation that you've smashed that taxi window. You're also under arrest for racially aggravated public order for the comments that you've said.
All right, so let's put aside everything that's happened from a criminal point of view and what is going to happen. I think the court of public opinion is probably as important for her legacy as anything. I've got to say, look, and I've done some stupid things, but I think this looks arrogant.
Yeah, it
I
does.
think it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I just wonder what the listeners out there and what you boys think as well.
I think a lot of people hate it because they see it in the context of race relations and go, imagine if you said you black C to somebody and flip it around and, you know, feel that you can't make light of it because it's a racist comment directed at a white person. And that's, since this story broke, that's, don't you think, Will? That's overwhelmingly been the sentiment on the text line.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. I think we were saying yesterday, like, I think it's possible to believe both. I can't believe this specific element of these alleged crimes have gone to court, given the environment, the nature of giving evidence, and I just reckon cops cop worse than every day. But it's out now, and she said it. And I don't think she can captain the Matildas again.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I agree.
Well, she probably won't anyway. I mean, she's totally at the end of her career. Yeah. Is she not?
31 coming back.
I think she theoretically should have a number of good years still ahead.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's coming off the knee. That's obviously the issue. But
I think the cop does sound like a bit of a pain in the butt, though. He's a bit officious and prickish. Although she is saying some terrible things to him. Like she's dropping the C-bomb and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's 3 o'clock in cop land, isn't it? Like,
well, yeah. And I think the actions of that English copper versus the way Australian cops would react, I think Australians would go, shut up.
Yeah, calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down, you silly cow. Yeah, there might be a bit of that.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's on tape. She said it.
And I wonder,
yeah,
the way the game has progressed and what she did at the World Cup, all of that, you know, it's been incredible. Yeah, she's our greatest ever Matilda.
It's sad. Like, you think about that goal she kicked against the Poms. It was just one of the greatest goals ever,
wasn't it? It was amazing.
Freakishly good goal.
But I think you're right. I think there is definitely, and look, it'll blow over eventually. It's just in the, you know, it's in the eye of the storm at the moment. But I think there's no doubt that there's a little bit of a mark on the legacy, isn't there?
Yeah. I think the thing that you use the best word, I haven't heard anyone else describe it that way, Tom, but it's the arrogance and that sort of entitled nature of it. It's like, don't you know who I am? That sort of, I'm a big star, you're just a little man, leave me alone, you're wasting my time. When the guy's actually just trying to do his job.
That's right.
That's the worst part of it. Not so much the race part. the fact that she just looks, we always thought you were a nice person,
Yeah.
Sam, and you don't look like one at the moment.
And I agree, most people, and have we been, it's difficult to say, but you probably just go, and move on. But this police officer's obviously thought,
Well, I think that's English police, to be honest.
Yep.
You know,
I'm going to run this up the flagpole.
That's that police force.
Mhm.
You know, they are the most politically correct police force on planet Earth. And again, she said it.
Yeah,
though.
well, under their control, the famous words "Allahu Akbar" shouted by someone running along the banks of the Thames holding a knife is code for please disperse people, nothing to see here.
Well, they often don't report on
Seriously.
the motivation of those sorts of acts because they don't want to sow, public discord. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for not letting us know what caused that mass death event. That, she can't be the captain again. That's done and dusted. Good on you, Rennie.
Thanks, boys.
Tom.
This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Sunny and 31 for Adelaide today with the 6:30 news. Good morning, I'm Matthew Pantelis.
Chipped windscreen? RAA approved repairer Complete Windscreens repairs it from just $99. Find the big red koala.
The state government says it holds grave fears over the future of the Whyalla steelworks. Creditors remain unpaid and deliveries of ore stopped by train some months ago because the rail operator also hadn't been paid for its services. The government says the steelworks can't be allowed to fail, with dire consequences for the state's confidence and economy if it does. 10 people have been shot dead inside an adult school in Sweden. More from Nine's Europe correspondent Edward Godfrey.
Sweden's Prime Minister has called it the worst mass shooting in the country's history. Police saying around 10 people have been killed at a school in the Swedish city of Örebro, 200 kilometres west of Stockholm. The gunman opening fire at the campus known as Risbergska, a facility for mature-age students. Some seen running for their lives in videos, others sheltering under desks in classrooms. Police say the shooter is among the dead. They believe he was a lone attacker. They say he is not known to them and a motive is unclear, although it's not believed to be terror-related. The crime scene is complicated and the death toll may be higher. Sweden's king calling the incident a terrible atrocity.
The state government says more than 70 police officers have returned to the beat following a significant funding boost in recruitment, almost $82 million being invested over 4 years to hire an additional 189 police security officers to replace sworn police in areas such as custody management. Dozens of officers have already returned to the front line, according to the government, and Police Minister Stephen Mulligan says it means officers can return to keeping people safe.
This includes establishing a new youth and street gangs task force and allocating more police to investigate and prosecute young South Australians and those involved in street gangs to stop them preventing crime and also to capture and punish those people guilty of causing crime. There's also a huge boost to the number of police as part of Operation Measure, which is targeting shoplifting.
A world-first drug which would help treat dementia is a step closer to becoming reality. Australian biotech company Actinogen Medical has received the green light for a drug called Xanamen. The medication can slow the progress of Alzheimer's disease. The US President is welcoming Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House. More from US correspondent Jonathan Kersley.
Prime Minister Netanyahu will become the first foreign leader to visit the White House since Donald Trump's inauguration. President Trump had suggested Gaza should be cleaned out, comments that angered Arab nations. The President and the Prime Minister will hold talks at the White House at a crucial time for the ceasefire in Gaza. Now, more than 2 weeks in, and with negotiations on the second phase underway, a team of Israeli negotiators will travel to Doha this weekend, while Donald Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff says he will meet with Qatar's Prime Minister in Florida later this week.
Australians are being urged to be cautious about how personal data is being used as a Chinese artificial intelligence app is banned from government devices. Commonwealth agencies have been told to remove DeepSeek AI from their systems, effective immediately. The government says the app poses an unacceptable security risk. And a candlelight vigil has been held at the site of a fatal shark attack on Queensland's Bribie Island. Around 200 people gathered with candles, flowers and balloons on Wurrum Beach to to pay respects to Charlie Zumda. The 17-year-old died on the beach after being attacked by a shark late on Monday afternoon. Turning to 5AA
Call
Sport.
Glider Roll now. Order a new door with operator before the end of February and receive 2 extra handsets.
Good morning, Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Matty. We're going to start with footy. Port Adelaide's players will train this morning at Alberton as they continue to train hard ahead of the start of the season. That, of course, begins next month. The Crows will also train in a couple of hours' time with veteran Matt Crouch to give an update on the team's progress following the session. Meantime, Collingwood is confident Jordan De Goey will be fit for the Magpies' opening round clash against the Giants. The 28-year-old is missing at least a week of training as he overcomes bone bruising in his knee after an injury-interrupted 2024. Teammate Bobby Hill says he expects him to be fine.
He's resting him a bit, but no, he's going well. He looks in great nick and he should be fine coming round 0.
Well, pressure is once again building on Marnus Labuschagne ahead of the second test against Sri Lanka starting tomorrow. With Cameron Green expected to return for the World Test Championship final in June, Labuschagne's spot is now under threat. To basketball, the Adelaide 36ers will play their final game of the regular season. That's on Friday night against the Perth Wildcats. Guard DJ Vasiljevic admitting to Rowie and Timmy G they need to be better after 2 disappointing losses on the weekend.
Well, I think it's just the start, and we have to have energy. Like, we didn't have energy the last 2 games, and we paid the price, and we've got to learn from it, because guess what? There's one more game left in the season, then you start playing these play-ins, and just know, if you lose, you're out. There is no second chance.
And the final round of the NBL season begins tonight with the New Zealand Breakers hosting the Illawarra Hawks. And that's the 5AA Sport.
5AA's forecast.
The heat is on. Keep cool with a cool summer aircon service from Automasters.
The sun is out and 31 will be the top today, 34 tomorrow, 29 on Friday, and a warm weekend, temps around the 30-degree mark. Right now, 17. 5AA, always Adelaide.
Hyundai's Keys to Summer event is here. Unlock offers across a wide range of Hyundai models. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
24 minutes to 7. Well, Rennie predicted it on the Police Home Care text line. The Sam Kerr issue was going to create a wave. It has. I think the notable thing about it, I think the condemnation of what she said is universal.
Yeah. Yeah.
The interesting component is there does seem to be some imagined pushback, I think, against people that have been defending her. I haven't heard anyone defend her.
No.
Is it? There's a sort of... I can't believe...
There are a few
Are
ABC types who...
Oh, that's why
I
don't hear it.
If
doesn't exist in my world.
Forest, no. The Twitterati, the sort of...
Okay.
You know... There were a bit of that last year when the story first broke. It was like, oh, yeah, well, you know.
But no one in the last 24 hours I've heard.
Because there is a left-wing construct that it's impossible to be genuinely racist about white people because they're in the ascendancy as the colonising power. Yeah,
the oppressors.
So
that's a pretty fringe first year.
Yeah, it's a Lydia
Thorpe arts-tute kind of position, isn't it?
Sort of way out there, you know. Sort of, yes, very fringe. But finds voice at the national broadcaster and on Twitter.
Okay, that's why I've missed it. 0480801395. It's time for a touch of etiquette.
It's because you're a pale male.
Yeah,
as Matt Abraham revealed last week.
Could be that.
Don't put them on air.
Don't put them on air.
Yeah, we need more diversity.
You can't have that. Lucy's in the studio for a touch of etiquette this morning. Morning, Luce.
Good morning. A thought bubble you had the other day, Will, around winking.
Oh, yeah, the wink.
What's wrong with winking?
Well, this is it.
Do people still do it? Is it endearing or weird?
Yeah. Is the wink still a thing? Oh, we would put it to the test. Do you still wink? Have you stopped winking?
Have you ever thought about it up until this point?
Hogs used to wink at people.
I reckon winking peaked in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah. In the Winnie Blue ads.
Yeah.
Anyhow, have a Winfield, wasn't it? Was that the slogan?
I reckon winking's going the way of the dodo. I don't see a lot of winking these days.
Do you think it looks weird in certain contexts?
I've got no problem with it, but I think...
Oh, it looks weird if a bloke winks at a girl. Like in a bar.
Well, does that still happen?
No. I don't think that happens.
They've got technology.
Young people don't even date.
No, there's an algorithm for that.
They don't date. This is the most single generation in history. The report came out earlier this week about that in the Western world. They've never been less dating that's gone on amongst a cohort of people.
Well, maybe bring the wink back.
Well, maybe do you still wink? Got to be careful with our words here, but are there any winkers in our audience? 8223 0000 or text us on the Police Home Care text line 0480 1395.
I'm trying to think of the context where I would. I think it would be like if you're at the beach with mates and someone got a beer out of the esky and threw it and you caught it really well one hand and they went, "Hey!" You do it then.
A bit of a smart aleck reaction.
It'd be like a silly thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think you automatically go to that, though, as your reaction. Oh, cheers, mate. Open it, move on.
How many people your age wink, Lucy?
Less than none.
Yeah. Have you ever seen any of your friends?
No. No one would have winked.
I think a supplementary question might be, if you do wink, is it possible to wink without making the annoying clicking sound I've been making? Because I can't do it just... If I don't make the sound,
that looks like a nervous twitch.
Yeah, I know. I look like I've got some sort of palsy going on here.
Stuart raised a great moment in recent Australian history that perhaps points to the problematic relationship we have with the wink these days. Tony Abbott enjoyed winking a few years back.
Oh, yes.
And that
enjoyed winking.
the Stuart's words.
There's a phrase.
Well, the context of that, and that was in linking it back to the previous conversation about, who was sticking up for Sam Kerr. The same people who would have been sticking up for Sam Kerr are the same people who are professionally and deliberately outraged by what Abbott did in that context. Because you remember, he was on Sydney Talkback.
Yes.
I think with Ray Hadley. And a woman rang in saying, "I am doing it so tough under your government that I've had to supplement my pension by working on a telephone sex line."
Yeah, and he winked at the host.
He looked at the host as if to say, "We got a live one here." It was hilarious that he winked.
Ben Jordan says that was the day the wink died in Australia. It was 2014. In fact, it was an ABC interview
That's right.
that he was doing. And Ben Jordan says that was the day the wink died. I think it was, where was it? Kaz sent through her rule for life when it comes to the wink. The only winking I do is to babies or toddlers in buses. So if it's still a little kid, as a cheeky sort of a thing to do.
Rob's put a good one in. How do you respond to the wink?
Well, you sort of have to wink back.
You almost have to wink back, don't you?
Yeah.
Or do you?
No, you don't.
Then you get sort of
You just
sucked into a circular winking vortex.
I think you witness it and you move on, right?
The wink ruled the world around the same time as the Clayton's advertisement, which began with the great line with Jack Thompson telling that joke. And no one knows the start of the joke, but the end of the joke is, "Anyway, now we can all get some sleep." It's like, "Hi, I'm Jack Thompson." Drink you have when you're not having a drink. That was probably about 1976, 77.
Yeah, I think that was its peak. You're right, and it died in 2014.
It died along with the idea of being a lair.
Yes,
like a sort of
a rogue
Dave Allen style front bar raconteur.
Raffish sort of bloke.
Yeah,
because
someone who could spin a yarn.
It has a bit of a connotation to it sometimes. Lots of thoughts on the Police Home Care text line.
But the winker was always, he was a pants man. He was on the
this is it. I think that stopped being trendy.
Yeah. Oh, hello.
Yeah, it stopped being trendy.
But non-trendy things are coming back now.
Oh, okay. I like this. You're zagging.
Well, like slide nights.
Yeah. I don't think that quite is, mate. Sorry. With your stick of JPEGs.
Stick of JPEGs.
No, but certain clothes...
How do you get all the JPEGs onto the stick? That's what I want to know.
Technology.
Take hours.
Your mate technology.
I suppose they call it drop and drag.
Certain clothes are coming back into fashion. I wonder if the wink will ever come back. Or after yesterday's caller regarding Bianca Sensory's nude dress, who said let girls wear what they want to wear.
Yes.
Which is a semi-fair point to make. I wonder how that juror number 5 feels about the wink.
All right. Well,
this morning
there are some great texts coming through. I like this one from Luke from Mawson Swamps, who says a very occasional wink these days, but I'm a large fan of the tight-lipped nod to strangers. It's less Uncle Arthur and more contemporary.
Can we make one of those GIFs out of what we just did?
I'll light up
tight-lipped nod.
I'll tight-lipped nod to people I know. Talking is overrated, says Luke from Mawson Swamps. I like that. Nathan says, how do you respond to a wink? You call 000 and check for other signs of stroke. Helen says, morning, I hate the wink. Did you see Seinfeld when George Costanza couldn't stop winking? That's right. Did he get some juice or something in his eye? He couldn't stop winking. Thank you, Helen. Anne says, winking's alive and well. 2 years ago, my 13-year-old son winked at my female boss.
Oi. Starting young.
Dan from Woodcroft says, Lucy, how would you react to being winked at by a male? And Will and Dave, what about if a female winked at you? If a woman winked at me, I'd think she was basically saying, how about it? Like, I think that would be the
not
natural response, would it not?
I mean, with
leap that to that conclusion. Perhaps maybe walk a little taller for a few steps, but
it's like a come on type thing.
Yes,
I think.
I think with
would you feel like you're being harassed, Lucy? If someone did to you?
Depends on the age of the male.
No, okay.
If like,
what's the cut-off point?
How old are you guys now?
I'm ancient. I got a slide projector.
If someone your age, David, winked at me, highly
so you're
uncomfortable.
Saying over 50s.
Yeah.
Keep your distance.
Simon in Tanunda says, I still wink after telling a porcupine company. Thank you, Simon.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's probably the simplest way that it's used these days. Yeah. Because, yes, the winking as a way of flirting is probably deemed ancient. An ancient tactic.
Yeah.
Someone here said Chris Lynn winked after his 6 he hit recently in the BBL.
And
a lot of people have stood up for the wink emoji, which may have taken the wink's place.
Yeah.
In sort of, in the world of texting. A lot of thoughts. So it's either dead or it's
Where did we land on? Endearing, weird, or dead? Or scarce?
I think on a spectrum of alive and well to dead, it's much closer to dead, based on the text.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
it's
good stuff. Luke.
It's moribund.
Yes.
Almost dead.
Yeah.
Close to death.
Close to death.
And a bit weird too.
And we're blaming Tony Abbott.
Intriguingly.
Right. He killed it. He killed the wink. Who knew? 14 to 7. We're going to check traffic for the first time this morning and come back with police and weather. Every office is different. Every client is special. Corporate Clean Property Services. No cut corners, just clean ones.
It's a good start to your Wednesday with no major issues at the moment. Watch out for a burst water main though in Jepps Cross, Cavern Road near Churchill Road North. Some ongoing works, Holbrooks Road near Garden Terrace in Underdale and Portrush Road near William Street in Nord affecting outbound traffic. And watch out for cameras today, Grey Terrace in Gilman and Lyons Road in Holden Hill. Snooze members save up to 40% off RRP at Snooze, including up to 40% off mattresses and up to 40% off bed frames. Hurry, the Snooze member event is on now. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Right Price, Adelaide's best in heating and cooling, has risen to new heights. Literally, Right Price are now your roofing people too. Same exceptional service, value and quality. From total roof replacement, including tiled roof installation, to tile roof repairs, cleaning and painting. And for peace of mind, a rock-solid quote. So the only surprise you'll get is how magnificent your roof and home looks. Do it right. Visit rightpriceroofing.com.au.
You can get your roof right at Right Price.
G'day, Alan Gray here. Talking mechanic to mechanic, one of the toughest parts of our job would have to be tracking down the most reliable four-wheel drive parts. At Terrain Tamer, we have Australia's largest range of four-wheel drive parts, all designed, engineered and tested to outperform the original. Hey, righto guys. Talk to one of Terrain Tamer's army of trained parts interpreters who all speak fluent four-wheel drive, or jump online and have over 60,000 parts at your fingertips, delivered anywhere in Australia. Go to terraintamer.com.
When it comes to calling out a Sparky for solar, aircon or general electrical maintenance, you've probably run into some form of dishonesty, because most solar companies are run by business or salespeople. That's where we're different. We're not business people. We're electricians who just happen to own a business. So if you're in the market for solar, aircon or electrical maintenance, look us up. LAMM. Lamb Solar. Honesty really is our best policy.
Austrac Campers Tanami X11 is perfect for couples looking for a tough, off-road ready, small camper. Get yours today at Austrac Campers.
Austrac Campers.
Aussie kids are active kids, creative kids, sporty kids. Are you a Weet-Bix kid? Hyundai's Keys to Summer event is here. Unlock offers across a wide range of Hyundai models. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
11 to 7. It's cool outside. It is. It's not going to stay that way long, I suspect. Jenny Horvath at the Weather Bureau has the latest details for us. Morning to you, Jenny.
Good morning, guys.
I mean, it's not cool by the 12-month of the year standard, but by what we've been having at the moment, it's a bit cool out there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Oh, and I got out to go to work today. I went, do I actually feel a little bit cold?
Yes.
We're kind of at our minimum temperature at the moment, 17.3 degrees out there. So, yeah, feeling a little bit fresh compared to what we have been seeing in that maximum temperature. It's still in the 30s, but in the low 30s, so just keeping a bit of a lid on that. We've got that high-pressure system south of the Bight. It's maintaining a milder southerly airstream. It did get a little bit fresh and gusty in the foothills there with the gullies overnight. We could see a little bit again as we head into this evening. Could be a little bit fresh and gusty as well, but that also helps with a little bit of cooling of the houses. So we are looking at that top temperature here in the city of around 33 degrees, maybe a bit warmer across the northern suburbs, getting up to around 36, along the coast around 30, 31 degrees, Mount Barker looking at around 30 degrees. Pretty similar conditions as we head on into Thursday there. We are looking at around 34 degrees with a minimum temperature of around 17. For Friday, it takes a little bit of a dip there with those southerlies back down to around 29 degrees, 28 for Saturday, but then we start to warm back up around maybe 32 for Sunday, getting back into the mid to high 30s for Monday, maybe getting up to around 39 or maybe even a little bit hotter by next Tuesday there. So that warmth hasn't quite left. It is maintaining around northern parts of the state, so even though we're feeling a bit of reprieve here in the south, across the north, still looking at temperatures in the 40s for the next few days there, guys.
Yeah, summer kicking on. Good on you, Jenny. Jenny Horvath there from the Weather Bureau.
All right, let's head to Safepole. Senior Constable Kate Dawson joins us. Kate, there was a hit-run crash in Elizabeth Downs last night.
Yeah, this was about 11:30pm last night. Emergency services were called to Burdell Street after reports that a car had collided with a pedestrian and left the scene. So when police arrived, they found the pedestrian, a 56-year-old man from Elizabeth Downs, with leg injuries, and he's been taken to hospital where he's been treated for those non-life-threatening injuries. So witnesses advised that the car involved was a gold-coloured Ford sedan, and that was last seen heading west. So about an hour later, following an investigation, patrols attended a nearby Elizabeth Downs address and arrested a 42-year-old man who's the alleged driver. So he's been charged with an act likely to cause harm and leaving the scene of a crash. And he's been taken to hospital where he will get a sample of his blood taken. So the Ford was towed from his house and will be forensically examined, and this man will have a date with court in March.
Fair enough too. Kate, also there's been a suspicious house fire in Ridleyton overnight.
Yeah, this was about 10 to 2 this morning. Police and MFS were called to a property on Blight Street after reports that a two-storey unit was on fire. So the fire was quickly extinguished by MFS crews, but extensive damage was caused to the ground level of the home. Thankfully, the occupant was not at home at the time of the fire, and there were no reported injuries. And although the investigation is in its initial stages, police believe that the fire may have been deliberately lit. So we've got our crime scene investigators heading out there this morning to assist with the investigation. And we're just asking anybody who may have seen any suspicious activity in that area around 1:50am this morning to contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
All right, thank you, Kate. Senior Constable Kate Dawson from Safepole. If you're at a bit of a loose end looking for something to do today, this is a good tip. There's a free lunchtime concert on at the Adelaide Town Hall in the auditorium there, featuring the Band of the South Australian Police. It's on from 12:30 till 1:30 today. Kid-friendly as well, so maybe if you're doing some babysitting, if you've got kids with you, you can get along and hear some fantastic music.
Wagging school.
In a wagging school, that's right. Having a sickie off work, whatever you might well be doing.
Working from home.
You can get along and experience what is a great venue as well at the Town Hall. Jade O'Donoghue is the manager of Creative City at Adelaide Town Hall. Good morning to you, Jade.
Good morning.
This sounds like a lot of fun, Jade. Now, I don't know if we haven't been paying attention, but is this something that the council does regularly, free concerts during the day?
Absolutely. It's a gift to our community, these free and family-friendly quality live music experiences at Adelaide Town Hall. They've been going for some time, lunchtime free, as you mentioned, kid-friendly, and we really love seeing people of all ages come along.
you'd probably get quite a lot of grandparents bringing their preschool grandchildren along to it. And if you do want to go, and today, so it's the police band, who everyone knows and loves, who are performing today for 1 hour from 12:30. You can't just rock up, though. You've got to register. It's just so you guys have a sense of how many people are going to be attending, right?
That's right. It's a really straightforward process. So you just have to jump online and search for Adelaide Town Hall What's On, and then you'll be able to find the Band of the South Australia Police concert that's this afternoon. Click in, reserve your seats, and just come in and enjoy the concert. It's so entertaining. And as you say, grandparents and grandchildren, we've got people who like to collect all of the concerts. And some people who are only coming into the Adelaide Town Hall for the very first time. So they feel with these performances that it's their invitation to explore the venue, and we just love that.
Yeah. It is a great venue. It's a beautiful spot. We'll have to negotiate a bit of scaffolding on the way in, though, Jade. How's the redevelopment going? Have you got a sense of how far progressed that is?
Yeah, it's going really well. So it's a major investment in the Adelaide Town Hall facade restoration. So that's a $4.6 million project. And to put that in context, the Grand Dame, as I like to call her, she's not had any TLC really since she was built in 1866. So the conservation works include cleaning, repairing the cracks in the stone, repointing the mortar, and it's really important to ensure that Town Hall remains available for future generations to enjoy. And we've just had an update, and we're expecting that the works will finish in July of this year, and we'll see that scaffolding coming down. But despite the scaffolding being up around Town Hall, she is open for business, and that includes these wonderful free concerts for the community. And that also includes hire of the spaces that we have inside. And we have so many other wonderful concert performances, the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra, Music of FIVEAA, Australia Chamber Orchestra, and more. So all of those details are available online for people to search. And if people really don't want to miss out on what's coming up, especially those free performances, they can scroll down to the bottom of the web page and subscribe for our monthly email newsletter, and that way they can stay up to date and never miss out.
No, it's a good thing to do for city residents, city workers and city visitors. Jade O'Donoghue there, the manager of Creative City at the Adelaide Town Hall. It is a beautiful building, the interior, but the outside's always looked dirty, hasn't it? And it's good to hear that it's actually getting they're getting the big Karsha onto it. Wouldn't that be fun?
All right, yeah.
Have you got one of them?
I think it might need more than a Karsha, the Town Hall. Does it work on those beautiful old stone buildings? I guess it would.
I reckon it would. It might take a while.
I guess it would.
Yeah. Karsharing's fun.
It's a fun thing to do today. Get along and hear the beautiful music at the Town Hall from the police band.
Hopefully they're not Karshering while the band's trying to play.
No, that wouldn't be.
It'd be like the night. Who was it?
It was like
Ennio Morricone versus the V8s. It was. That's the two Adelaide.
That was
collide.
The sound of Adelaide.
Yeah,
they're right there. They should synthesise that and sell that music.
Yeah.
Morricone set to the backdrop of a roaring V8 engine.
Redheads versus the Beret Brigade.
The Adelaide anthem. 5AA News is coming up right on the other side of it. We're going to take you through some of the morning stories.
The Unley Road Association presents An Evening Under the Stars, a magical outdoor concert featuring Adelaide's leading cover band Supernova. Bring a rug or chair, relax and enjoy this free family-friendly outdoor event. Proudly supported by Pickle in the Middle, Unley City Council, Brilliant SA Renovations, Harcourts Matthews, Bell Property and Unley Shopping Centre. Come along and support local Unley Road businesses and Operation Flinders. An Evening Under the Stars, Saturday, February 15 at Unley Soldiers Memorial Gardens from 6 p.m. Show starts at 8 p.m. It pays to cruise with RAA. Book and pay a deposit on a new ocean or river cruise with RAA Travel by Feb 28, 2025 for the chance to win a $5,000 cruise holiday voucher. Can you imagine that? Booking a cruise and winning a cruise. It's better to be a member with RAA Travel. Promoter is RAA. T's and C's exclusions, booking and eligibility criteria apply. Available at travel.raa.com.au.
The countdown is on. Rivers is closing down and the savings are huge. Score 50 to 80% off store-wide with prices as low as $8. Rush in for your final chance to save big before we close the doors for good. T's and C's apply.
Go wild for MS with this year's MS Life Changer Lottery. It's your chance to win a luxury African safari Phil Hoffman travel voucher valued at $100,000 plus $50,000 cash and have a real impact on the lives of those living with MS and other neurological conditions. The MS Life Changer Lottery. Entry for the super early bird prize of a $10,000 Phil Hoffman travel voucher closes February 11. Visit mslifechangerlottery.com.au. Licence number SA M14700.
At Coles, there's lots to love this Valentine's Day. Like half price on Lindt Lindor Chocolate Heart Tin, 147 grams, now just $10. Get great value hands down for Valentine's Day at Coles. Offer ends Tuesday.
The Steinborner Group has done it again. The Jack T9 Ute has landed at Jack Motors in Gawler. Enjoy a 5-star ANCAP safety rating, a 7-year warranty, 7-year roadside assist and 7-year capped price servicing. The Jack T9 features a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine. This 4x4 dual-range ute boasts an impressive 3-tonne towing capacity, a 1,045-kilogram payload and a tray that fits a standard pallet. Starting from just $45,980 drive away, Jack Motors is well worth a trip. Visit gawlerjackmotors.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
The latest local, national and international news for South Australia. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Sunny and 31 for Adelaide today with the 7 o'clock news. Good morning, I'm Matthew Pantelis.
Make RAA approved windscreen repairer, Complete Windscreens, your insurer repairer of choice. Visit completewindscreens.com.au.
Police resources allocated to investigating youth crime, domestic and family violence, cybercrime and retail theft are being significantly boosted. More than 70 police officers have been redirected to a range of key frontline areas that will provide the most benefits to the community and enhance public safety and well-being. 51 positions have become available following successful programs such as the introduction of police security officers in custody management areas, the civilisation of some roles and the rationalisation of some small police stations. Additional government funding has also delivered another 20 positions. Premier Peter Malinowska says he has grave concerns over the future of the Whyalla steelworks. Contractors remain unpaid, the Premier saying it's a substantial policy challenge for the state and the economy. He says the government is concerned about GFG's ability to fund its ongoing future. Treasurer Stephen Mulligan says they want the steelworks to continue.
A lot of people have been disappointed over the last 7 years that we've had a lot of promises and not much action from GFG. We are still hoping, of course, that GFG's ambitions for the steelworks can be realised.
A 56-year-old Elizabeth Downs man is in hospital with leg injuries after a hit-and-run crash on Burdell Street at 11:30 last night. Witnesses were able to give police enough information. They went to a house in the suburb, arresting a 42-year-old man. He's charged with an act likely to cause harm and leaving the scene of a crash, and his car has been impounded for forensic examination. 10 people have been killed in a shooting at an adult school campus in central Sweden. Witnesses heard several shots ring out from an automatic weapon around 200 kilometres west of Stockholm. Police Chief Roberto Ede Forrest says it happened around lunchtime.
We were able to establish early on that a shooting had occurred in a room at the school, and the school was immediately evacuated. Shortly afterwards, we also observed smoke inside the school, and one of the injured is a person who's suspected of being the perpetrator.
Clean-up efforts in the flood-ravaged Queensland's north could be hampered with more torrential rain on the way. Up to 270 millimetres could fall in Townsville over the next 3 days. A second person has died in the floods, an 82-year-old woman. Several flood warnings are in place, an emergency alert issued for flooding on the Bruce Highway at Plantation Creek. China has announced tariffs as a reaction to the action by Donald Trump after a further 10% charge was imposed on all Chinese exports into the US. Beijing saying the measures will take effect from Monday, with an extra 10% added to crude oil and agricultural machinery. BBC reporter Laura Bicker says American coal and gas will face a 15% levy.
When it comes to those kind of measures, I think speaking to analysts, they say that's about 30%
of US imports into China. So in some ways it's punitive for now, but it might just be an opening salvo from Beijing, because as well as imposing those tariffs, Beijing is not closing the door on talks. It is keeping negotiations, or at least the prospect of negotiations, open.
Driverless taxis could hit Australian streets by 2032, but operators warn we're 15 years behind the rest of the world. 13 cabs laying the groundwork, beginning with discussions with local, state and federal governments. Robocabs already operating in the US, China, the UK and throughout much of Asia. Turning to 5AA Sport.
Call Gliderol now. Order a new door with operator before the end of February and receive 2 extra handsets.
Robocabs could have solved Sam Kerr's problems, Tom Wren.
It definitely would have made things a lot better, I think. No question about that, Matthew. We're going to start with some cricket, though, for now. An Australian batsman, Travis Head, is expecting to move back to the middle order for the World Test Championship final. That's coming up against South Africa in June. Now, Head has, of course, been elevated to open at the expense of Sam Constas for the tour of Sri Lanka, and that's despite strong form batting at number 5. The Allen Border medalist says that will probably change to suit the conditions at Lord's in London.
Yeah, most likely, that I'd go back in the middle order, and Sam would open, so I'm glad I'm a selector. As Josh has had an amazing start. The guys are playing well, Greeny's going to be fit, so it's going to be hard to fit in, and I think that's what we want. We want an Australian cricket team that's tough to get in.
Let's go to tennis. Mixed results for the Aussie men at the Rotterdam Open in the Netherlands. Alex de Minaur had a straight sets win against David Goffin, but Alexei Poprin lost to Yuri Lehechka in straight sets. Meantime, Alexander Vukic will be in action a little later this morning against American Ben Shelton at the Dallas Open. Rinky Hijikata is already through to the round of 16, following an impressive straight sets win against Frenchman Adrian Manarino. Well, still no action at Pipeline, the surfing competition on hold due to conditions in Hawaii. Another call will be made in an hour or so. Star Australian golfer Grace Kim has committed to playing the Australian WPGA Championship on the Gold Coast next month. Meantime, Tiger Woods has paid tribute to his biggest fan and greatest supporter following the death of his mother. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Checking the roads around Adelaide.
Lynn Andrews Real Estate, experts in commercial and residential property management. lynnandrews.com.au.
Good morning. Accident and breakdown free at the moment, which is good news. Look out for a burst water main, though, in Jepps Cross, Cavan Road near Churchill Road North. Some ongoing works, Majors Road near the Southern Expressway, O'Halloran Hill, and Port Road near Queen Street in Croydon. And watch out for cameras today, Church Terrace in Walkerville and Old Port Road in Royal Park. Look for the RAA sign at over 400 independent RAA-approved repairers across SA. You know you can trust them because RAA do. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA's forecast.
The heat is on. Keep cool with a cool summer aircon service from Automasters.
Sunny days, 31 today, 34 tomorrow, 29 on Friday, a warm weekend, around 30. Right now, 17. 5AA, always Adelaide.
In Adelaide and across South Australia. This is 5AA, always Adelaide.
Hyundai's Keys to Summer event is here. Unlock offers across a wide range of Hyundai models. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
7 after 7, the Facebook and YouTube live stream shows clear skies and the sun on the way up outside. The heat on the way. This nice little respite might be coming to an end, I suspect, sometime very soon.
32's bearable, isn't it? That's a pretty good day.
Relative to what we've had, I think it's certainly bearable.
Yeah.
The weather conditions more than just about individual comfort for the CFS, who this week have had to fight the Wilmington fire, a fire near Wilmington that's burnt some 800 hectares. The national park there closed, and a volunteer firefighter injured in fighting the flames. We're going to get an update now from Cindy McCord, the CFS Regional Duty Commander. Cindy, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, very well, Cindy. So, what's the state of play with the fire near Wilmington this morning?
Firefighters are still trying to work hard to contain that fire. It's burning in very inaccessible terrain. We've got higher fuel loads in there, and of course we've got such dry conditions that we've seen over the past few weeks that has led to, fighting this fire has been a bit challenging.
Mm. Do you know roughly, Sydney, how many fireys have been involved in the battle to put it out?
So we've had probably close to 100 firefighters on and off the fire ground. over the period of time. We can only get so many firefighters in there at any one time.
Yeah.
It's not like a big open grass fire where you can resource above and beyond. But that's been supported by our aerial firefighting team, and absolutely, they've done an amazing job just to try and keep the fire where we been able to maintain it to at this stage.
So is the fire sort of mainly or wholly contained in the Mount Remarkable National Park area, or is it sort of out in farm areas too where there's properties?
So at this stage, it's still in the Mount Remarkable National Park. I mean, anything could change with that. We only need to get the weather conditions to be able to get that fire to take a run, and we certainly could have it out into open grassland. It's closer on the northern edge to the open grasslands and the farming communities, but, we're certainly aware of where all the assets are and don't have any concerns for anybody's assets at this point.
What's the status, Cindy, of the firefighter that got injured first responding to the blaze?
He's doing well, thank you.
Okay, that's good to hear.
And obviously too, Cindy, just to wrap it up, we heard from the Weather Bureau at 6:45. We've got some big numbers early next week, 38, 39, to kick off the week. Obviously not out of the woods yet fire-wise for this summer.
Oh, no, absolutely not. And, we need to remember that the conditions are really dry.
Yeah.
So, even though we haven't had high total fire ban days over the last few weeks, because we haven't had the added winds having concern for us, we're certainly far from out of the woods.
Absolutely. Good on you, Cindy. Cindy McCourt, the CFS Regional Duty Commander, joining us this morning.
11 minutes after 7.
4.2 mils we've had since the start of January.
Yeah, it's crazy.
4.2.
We thought remember we thought the start of last year was dry?
Yeah.
We did it. We were doing a monthly update.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're going to have to do that again this year, the way things are going.
What's worse?
Unless something changes. Hopefully it does for those that rely on rain and living out in the land. Let's have a look at some of the other stories this morning. An awful story out of Sweden has taken place overnight. Swedish police say around 10 people have been killed in a shooting on a school campus. Not a school campus for kids. It's an adult learning style environment. Nonetheless, 10 people have been killed. Here's Sadaya Chowdhury from Sky News in the UK.
At least 10 people have been killed, including the perpetrator. We do have a line from the police from a short while ago saying during the afternoon several investigative measures connected to the case have been carried out at various addresses in Örebro. Work at the crime scene continues, including technical personnel. At present, the police believe that the perpetrator acted alone, but we cannot rule out more perpetrators connected to the incident. Our view is that the perpetrator is one of the dead people. That's from Swedish police just a short while ago, saying that they've carried out some investigations at various addresses in Örebro, which is the outskirts of where the education centre was, where 10 people were killed during a school shooting at an adult education centre, and police saying that the final death toll and conclusive number of wounded have not yet been damaged. The damage at the crime scene was so extensive, according to the head of the local police, that investigators were unable to be more definitive.
Shocking for the location as much as anything. It's just not something you associate with that part of the world.
No. Just appalling.
But more will be learnt on that story over the course of the day. DeepSeek is back in the news. The Chinese challenger to OpenAI's ChatGPT and other AI platforms. This is the one that upended financial markets when we last spoke about it a week ago, because it was doing what they did at a fraction of the cost. Sent a shiver through NVIDIA and companies like that, because it was a demonstration that perhaps leaps forward could be made with this technology in the absence of access to highly powered chips that previously people had imagined it was the only way you could make development in this space. Well, they're back in the news here in Australia because it's now been banned. The Labor government has banned DeepSeek for use on all Australian government devices because of intelligence advice that essentially said the risks posed were unacceptable to national security. Here's Murray Watt, the Employment Minister, speaking on Sunrise this morning.
As a government, we're leaving it for individuals to make their own choices about what apps they put on their phones, but, you know, I think you can read something into the fact that the government has decided that it's not secure to have on government phones, and people might want to have a think about that when it comes to their personal phones. We'd already obviously banned TikTok from government phones as well, and there's millions of Australians who've gone ahead and put that on their personal phones, but we'd certainly be encouraging people to really get across the online privacy guidelines and rules that DeepSeek has and make a really good decision about whether they want to take that risk themselves.
Has the government has it banned TikTok, the use of TikTok by
on government devices,
individual MPs for re-election purposes? Because
I think you can have it on your personal mobile,
but not your government phone. Not your government issued phone.
Yeah.
Well, why did Dutch say a couple of weeks ago that the Libs needed to get more adept at using social media platforms, including TikTok, for getting their messages out?
Clearly sees that the utility of it, you know, to get elected is greater than the risk being posed for personal data being shared. I suppose there are different levels of sensitivity and risk, aren't they? The things that are being used on government devices, you might be getting access to classified pieces of information and so forth, whereas...
Yeah. Well, it's funny, isn't it? People like to talk about the right to privacy and having their privacy invaded. The truth with privacy, I think, is we've sort of given it away. And I know, you know, there's nothing like the thrill of getting, you know, a negligee for Valentine's Day for $3.
But speaking from experience?
No. I'm talking about Temu.
Yes.
Like, if China really wanted to totally bugger up a hostile nation's, a nation they regard as hostile, if they totally wanted to bugger up their economy, what about if you could, with the ping of a button, just destroy everybody's credit card details? Like the world's most extraordinary mass hacking event. How many Australians have knowingly given, well, perhaps in some cases unknowingly, because people just think, oh, Temu, yeah, that's that cheap website.
Why would they want to? They've got the entire world on tap at the moment, buying all their stuff.
Well, that's true. That is true. What's the slogan of Temu? Shop like a billionaire.
The irony is capitalism's preventing the Chinese Communist Party from ruining everyone's credit card situation.
But it's funny, if someone rings you during mealtime and they're trying to tell you about some new, you know, energy plan you're on, or can we just get your details for this? No way I'm giving you any of my details. Yeah. Oh, meanwhile, I'll just get my phone because I want to buy some, you know, some cheap outfits.
I am intrigued about...
And they always put it's always like lingerie and stuff like that, because you see all the ads that pop up on the Tizer, and they're always like, you know, Valentine's Day specials or things like that.
I am intrigued that the Australian and US governments seem broadly aligned on this idea that, yes, all of our private information is going whenever we interact with these apps and these companies and these giant social media companies, but it's far preferable that it goes to a private entity that's in the interest of making money than it goes to a sovereign government in the Chinese Communist Party, okay? Governments all feel that way.
But isn't it all a bit blurred over there?
Well, no, that's the point.
Yeah, right.
So yes, Mark Zuckerberg's... It's preferable that Mark Zuckerberg has all your information compared to the Chinese Communist Party, okay? That's how governments are operating in the Western world at the moment. The US wanting to ban TikTok, us here saying government phones can't have TikTok or DeepSeek now and this kind of stuff. People don't act like that.
No.
I wonder if our listeners, do you have any... Does where your private data go influence which apps you interact with? Will you not use something because it's a Chinese app that will have data going to the government?
Clearly, with a lot of people, if you can get something for next to nothing,
yeah,
that's the key driver of human behaviour.
There's a real difference between how governments are acting and individuals are acting on this front. Speaking of China, in the news again this morning, we'll speak to Koshi about this because this will have flow-on effects for Australia. They're going to implement a retaliatory tariff on the US following Donald Trump's decision to put a 10% tariff on everything, every Chinese good heading into the US. The Chinese tariffs are more targeted. It'll be a 15% tariff on coal and liquefied natural gas products, as well as a 10% tariff on crude oil, agricultural machinery, and large engine cars imported from the US. They'll do it from February 10, and people are having a bit of hope that maybe that date, maybe it not being immediate, is a sign that they're willing to negotiate and find some sort of middle ground so they don't go down this path. There is a phone call slated to happen between the two leaders a little bit later this week. And you get the sense, too, in the tone of some of the Chinese officials that have spoken publicly, like Fu Kong, the Chinese envoy to the United Nations.
The world is entering a very turbulent period. So as two biggest countries, we don't need to fight each other. We need to work together and to fight against the common enemies of the world, like terrorism, like the climate change. Targeting China is not the right way forward.
Well, China's beat him to the punch, haven't they? They're trying to.
They're trying to, but there's some hope that maybe by February 10, a bit like Canada and Mexico, this won't materialise in the destructive way that we imagine it might right here. So there's a bit to come out on that one too. And a big congratulations, if you're feeling in that sort of mood, to the person who won the $100 million Oz Lotto Powerball last night. The winning numbers 3, 34, 35, 26, 44, 39, 36. Interestingly, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're numbers that are not anyone's birth date. Notable for if you want to win by yourself. Supplementaries 5, 45 and 6. The winning ticket was sold in New South Wales. One woman won it. Biggest lotto jackpot in history. Quite remarkable.
Wouldn't know what to do with yourself, would you?
I could think of a few things. Time to check traffic.
Do they involve not sitting next to me for 15 hours a week, Will?
No. You're saying I wouldn't get up early and come in here and just chew the fat?
Do you reckon you and I was actually thinking about this last night. 10 years we've been working together. Do you think you and I have spoken to each other longer now than any other person we know in our lifetime?
Yes. I was thinking about this very thing. I went walking
It's
with my
weird,
wife
isn't it?
and I was talking about the issues with her, and it occurred to me in that chat, I'm like, I spend more of my time talking about what's going on in the world with David than any other person I've ever met.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's bizarre to think.
Yeah.
All right, let's check traffic. We'll continue doing it again because neither of us won the $100 million.
That's right.
Corporate Clean Property Services, they're referred for a reason. After all, they don't cut corners, they clean them.
Thanks, Will. It's a good start to your Wednesday with no major issues out there at the moment. A burst water main, though, to look out for in Jepps Cross, Cavan Road near Churchill Road North. Some ongoing works, Rundle Street near the Parade West in Kent Town, and Grant Scully Road near Clarendon Road in Clarendon. And watch your speeds today, Green Hill Road in Burnside and Torrens Road in Rosewater. You'll love this, a GYG brekkie burrito for just $8. Free range scrambled eggs, bacon, 2 hash browns, jack cheese and fresh pico, just $8 at Guzman y Gomez. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Graham Goodings.
I want to talk about this subject of green hydrogen energy. Is it time that the state government followed the smart money and realised its proposed green energy plant is just not feasible? Queensland has just pulled funding from a massive $12.5 billion project in Gladstone.
Graham Goodings.
So, what does Tom Koutsantonis and Premier Peter Malinauskas know that the others don't?
Weekday mornings from 9 on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Ignition for Men. Adelaide's home of impeccable class and style offer a range of suits by leading Italian brands, including tailor-made wedding packages for the groom and groomsmen. Order 3 tailor-made suits and pay just $799 for each. Order 4 or more for just $749 per suit. Phenomenal value for a quality tailor-made suit. See Ignition for Men for tailor-made wedding packages. 54 Paynham Road, Stepney. ignitionformen.com.au. T's and C's apply.
I'm high! The Excelsior Hotel has always felt like home. And for seniors, it's always been great value with 20% discount on selected bistro meals. Yep, 20% off. Feeding the whole family? Bring them all Saturday or Sunday for live acoustic music from 5 p.m. And kids eat free. Some conditions apply. The Excelsior Hotel feels like home, but better. You just know it's a Barreau Hotel.
Now, did you know 1 in 6 Aussies live with some sort of hearing loss, and when you're over 50, know all about that, that increases to 1 in 3. So if you've noticed your loved one isn't listening or is becoming distant, it might not be selective hearing, but instead it's time to visit the experienced audiologists at Can Do Hearing for a simple, painless screening.
You'll get expert advice on whether you need a full hearing test, and from there, whether or not a hearing aid may work for you. Can Do Hearing let you choose from SA's largest range of hearing aids, which vary in terms of features depending on your goals, and that could range from wanting to hear the doorbell to being able to visit busy cafes comfortably. In fact, they've improved so much in recent years that you can hardly even see them. Book an appointment with Can Do Hearing today. You'll find them in Hindmarsh, Dorlunga, South Terrace City and the recently expanded Blackwood Clinic.
And the best part is profits go to Can Do for Kids to fund therapy services for children with hearing and vision loss. Visit the website candohearing.com.au.
Summer's here. Time to get your new Woolco pool blanket. Made from quality materials, a Woolco pool blanket will keep your pool clean, warm and reduce evaporation. Uncover the savings now. Visit woolco.com.au.
Hi, Brett Emmett here for Mawson Lakes Mazda. We've been doing deals on a huge range of 2024 plate Mazdas, and we've just received truckloads more of them, all priced to clear. These drive-away deals on new Mazdas include free 12 months rego, free stamp duty, and accessory packs worth $500. Yep, absolutely free. All exclusive to Mawson Lakes Mazda. No gimmicks, just great deals. Mawson Lakes Mazda, Salisbury Highway, T's and C's apply.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
Hyundai's Keys to Summer event is here. Unlock offers across a wide range of Hyundai models. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
25 minutes after 7. Talk sport in just a moment. Great interview on the sports show last night. Before we do, though, we're going to head out on the road and check in with Jade Robran. Good morning to you, Jade.
Good morning, guys. The state government has announced this morning that they're cracking down on stalking. Now, these new laws are going to help police crack down on stalking. They've been passed in state parliament. The reforms, they were developed after long and lengthy consultations with victim support services and also the justice sector. And what the new laws mean is basically the threshold required to prove the offence of stalking has been lowered. Now, that means that it's making it easier for authorities to take action against these perpetrators. The reformed stalking offence, it'll cover now stalking with intent to cause any physical or mental harm instead of only serious physical or mental harm. Now, these reforms, they're also going to ensure that the offence will apply even if a person who does stalking activities did not specifically intend to cause fear or harm, but should reasonably have known that their actions and behaviour would be likely to cause this harm and fear. Attorney General Kaya Ma has said this morning that stalking and harassment are vile forms of offending with particular effect on those seeking to leave abusive relationships, and it's essential that authorities have every tool available in their arsenal to help combat it. Now, these offences, they're also going to be known as stalking and harassment, which incorporates broader activities that can now constitute the offence, including harassment using communications and surveillance technology. So things like tracking someone's phone or computer, or even, guys, I've heard of some cases where people have put those Apple tags on someone's car or slip them into a purse or a handbag so that they can track them. It's awful stuff, but these new laws have now come in, guys.
Yeah, about time too. It's important reform.
Thank you for that, Jade. We'll check in with Jade again before 9 o'clock this morning. Out on the road for us, 27 after 7. Last night on the sports show, Rowie and Timmy G caught up with a person who'll be familiar to fans of the excellent Netflix Formula One series Drive to Survive that really vaulted Formula One's popularity into the stratosphere and made people other than the drivers famous. People like the team principals, the people that make the strategic decisions, overseeing the engineering and so forth. And one of the great characters was Gunther Steiner, who was during the period of, certainly when I was watching Drive to Survive, was the team principal of Haas. Well, he was on last night. It turns out the show that made him globally, worldwide known is not something he's ever watched.
You must be a visionary, because we did the doco, or you did the doco, or they did the doco, Drive to Survive, and that put F1 way on the map. It attracted people that weren't F1 but now absolutely love F1. I want to ask you this, were you happy with the editing, and did they portray you the real Gunther?
I don't know, because I didn't watch it.
You haven't watched it?
No. No. No, I don't. I didn't watch it, and I'm not planning to watch it, no. So I mean, obviously, I think I know because people tell me what is in there, and I was there when they did it. So obviously, I know some of the bits, but I couldn't say if, how they portray me or not. So, I cannot answer that question. Sorry.
Well, you were super unpopular. You looked nasty,
Everybody hates me,
and everyone hated you. And you were strutting around like a peacock. And,
I loved him.
We loved you, Gunther. That's the whole point of it. It was fantastic.
The right about the popularity of that show and what it did for Formula One, introducing it to other audiences. Look, I'd always had an interest in Formula One, but my wife had never had it. But when Rosie was first born, I reckon we just binged season after season of Drive to Survive because it's just so brilliantly done. And it sets up a sporting season as almost a sort of a drama with these personalities. And I'm convinced it's why my daughter's obsessed with the Disney movies Cars now. Because she just heard nothing but Formula One for the first few months
definitely
of her
got a
life.
lot of people who were fair weather fans right into the sport.
Got Americans massively into the sport where they hadn't been historically, but now it's gone mainstream.
They've been more
in the US.
NASCAR in the past, haven't they?
Yeah, that's right. Or IndyCar and stuff like that.
You're not first, you're last.
Yeah, that's right. But it is amazing and incredibly well done. Great interview, and he's a very colourful character. 5AA News is coming up in just a moment. Then we're going to go around the courts with Sean Fewster. Looking forward to that. Koshy not too far away either. Koshy will do in the next half hour. And we're going to ask him, what's the fallout for Australia and Australians of this trade war that's brewing between the United States and China? Is it all downside? Is there some upside and opportunity? How will it materialise? What areas will be affected the most? If you've got outstanding questions about all that's going on in the world at the moment, and it's a pretty volatile space economically, you're going to have them answered with David Kosh, who'll join us very, very shortly. So stick around.
Next time you pour Fluorio milk into your coffee or tea, over your cereal or in your smoothie, you're closer to being an SA dairy farmer than you think. 100% of Fluorio Co milk comes from our state's best dairy farmers and their families. So when you buy any Fluorio milk product, you become part of that big family too, doing your bit to support our farming families. Look for the local in your supermarket. Fluorio Milk Company. We're for SA dairy farmers.
Are you ready to explore? The Telegraph X camper trailer is perfect for your next off-road adventure. Available now at Austrac Campers.
Austrac Campers.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Sunny and 31 with the 7:30 news. I'm Matthew Pantelis.
Chipped windscreen? RAA approved repairer Complete Windscreens repairs it from just $99. Find the big red koala.
The state government says the Whyalla steelworks can't be allowed to fail despite creditors remaining unpaid and the Premier revealing grave fears for its future. Almost $600 million taxpayer dollars also on the line with a green hydrogen plant being developed there. Its biggest customer will be the steelworks. Treasurer Stephen Mulligan says GFG made commitments to run the steelworks viably.
The government remains committed to working with the steelworks to make sure that it's operational and viable, that there's still a future for the thousands of workers that rely on it and the hundreds of small businesses. But we really need to see GFG not only pay their bills, but make good their promises to invest in the plant.
The state government says there'll be more frontline police returning to the beat. $82 million is being invested over 4 years to hire an additional 189 police security officers to replace sworn police in areas such as custody management. 20 extra officers will bolster efforts investigating financial and cybercrime, as well as anti-shoplifting initiative Operation Measure. 70 police have already returned to the beat, replaced in areas such as custody management by police security officers. But Shadow Police Minister Jack Batty says youth crime remains high and there are fewer police in frontline positions.
Well, this is smoke and mirrors from Stephen Mulligan. He's shut down 2 existing task forces tackling youth crime. He's replaced it with one and given it a new name. There's no boost to police on the front line because there are no new police. In fact, we have 10% less police today than we did 5 years ago. So youth crime is more than doubled under Labor, and we need to do a lot better than just rename a task force.
Police in Sweden say around 10 people have been killed in a shooting at an adult education centre. Officers believe the shooter is amongst the dead and they acted alone. The attack is not believed to be terror motivated. Police are investigating a suspicious house fire in Ridleyton at about 1:50 this morning. Police and MFS called to a property on Blight Street. Reports a two-storey unit on fire. The blaze quickly contained by the MFS, but extensive damage caused to the ground level of the home. The occupant was not home at the time. Police believe the fire may have been deliberately lit. New laws to crack down on stalking and harassment have passed state parliament. Attorney General Kaya Ma says violence against a victim won't be the only criteria in bringing charges.
What the new laws do is lower the threshold so you don't have to show that serious harm was caused, rather just that mental or physical harm was caused. You don't have to show that the offender specifically knew that they were causing harm, but that they ought to have known. And really importantly, we're including the word harassment in the offence and making sure examples given include new technologies.
A Chinese artificial intelligence app is being banned from government devices on national security grounds. Zach De Silva with more.
DeepSeek AI sent shockwaves through the tech world when it was announced last month, appearing to be cheaper and more efficient than its competitor ChatGPT. But a number of Western countries are concerned about data security because the chat program is based in China. Now, all federal government departments have been told to remove the app from their systems and mobile devices effective immediately. The Commonwealth says DeepSeek poses an unacceptable security risk and is urging all Australians to be cautious about how their personal data is being used.
The sheep industry is on the brink of a major crisis, with wool production reaching its lowest level in a century. The Australian reporting producers are urging the federal government to reconsider a ban on live exports from May 2028. Turning to 5AA Sport.
Call Gliderol now. Order a new door with operator before the end of February and receive 2 extra handsets.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Matty. We're going to start with Cricket Australia's players. Will have one final hit out today ahead of tomorrow's second test against Sri Lanka in Galle. South Aussie Travis Head will again open the batting, with Sam Constas heading back to Australia so he can play for New South Wales in their Sheffield Shield clash against Queensland. That begins at the Gabba on Saturday. Well, former Socceroo Robbie Slater wants Football Australia to stop kicking the can down the road in regards to Sam Kerr's court case in London. Matilda's interim coach Tom Samani says it would be inappropriate to take action against the skipper whilst the case is ongoing. But Slater has told Wide World of Sports her behaviour was clearly inappropriate.
No, let's be brutally honest. The very unfortunate footage on our Australian captain, Sam Kerr, and I found it embarrassing. I found it a little bit arrogant.
To football, Sydney has declared Chad Warner is a priority for the Swans, with the star midfielder coming out of contract at the end of the season. Adding to trade speculation, the West Australian has recently purchased a home in Perth. Swans Chief Executive Tom Harley telling Wide World of Sports the club can't have its head in the sand, but they want to retain the 23-year-old.
We can't concern ourselves with any of that. We just want him to play good footy for us now and present him with a compelling case where he can see his future with us, and we'll control as much of that as we possibly can and provide that environment for Chad.
Going to be an interesting watch. That is the 5AA Sport.
5AA's traffic.
Lynn Andrews Real Estate. Experts in commercial and residential property management. lynnandrews.com.au.
Good morning. Accident breakdown free for your Wednesday at this point. Watch out for a burst water main though in Jeb's Cross, Cavern Road near Churchill Road North. Some ongoing works, Morford Road near Gorda Place in Seacombe Gardens, and Gorge Road near Stradbroke Road in Newton, affecting both directions. And watch out for cameras today, Lockside Drive in West Lakes and Penfold Road in Wattle Park. Get up to $400 off when you pre-order the new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra on a payment plan at Telstra. Offer ends March 10. Eligibility criteria apply based on 1 TB variant. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA's forecast.
The heat is on. Keep cool with a cool summer aircon service from Automasters.
Sunny days ahead, 31 today, 34 tomorrow, 29 Friday. A warm weekend, around 30. Right now, it's 18. 5AA, always Adelaide.
They say 20,000 hours in any field makes you master of it. So imagine what 160 years makes you. For more than 160 years, Anglicare SA has supported South Australians in need. Whether it's gardening, meal prep, housework or transport to appointments, Anglicare SA gives seniors as much or as little support as they need. For more on Anglicare SA's coordination and clinical services, visit anglicaresa.com.au.
There's one word that should be deleted forever. It transcends language, culture, geography, status, and it doesn't discriminate. That word is cancer, and until we can delete it, we're going to treat it. Lift Cancer Care is dedicated to offering additional cancer services to complement your existing treatment plan. We collaborate closely with your medical team to achieve the best outcomes for your diagnosis. So, if you or a loved one are ever struck with the C word, think of the L word first. liftcancercare.com.au.
It all started in the back shed. Maybe it started early. Or late. Either way, the Olympic Industry sale means there's no need to wait. With big savings on our entire range of SA engineered sheds, garages, carports and verandas, you can afford to start something big, tough, or tasty in your own backyard. Start something with the Olympic Industry sale. On now.
Snooze members save up to 40% off. Save up to 40% off mattresses and up to 40% off bed frames. Hurry, the Snooze member event is on now. Exclusions, T's and C's apply.
What a little snooze can do. 5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Hyundai's Keys to Summer event is here. Unlock offers across a wide range of Hyundai models. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
21 minutes after 8, it is 21 minutes to 8, should I say. It is a Wednesday morning, which means it's time to go around the courts.
It's time to go around the courts with Sean Fuster on 5AA Breakfast.
I want to break from tradition with Around the Courts this morning. Just read you a little bit of Sean wrote about Nathan Heath Miller, just to set the scene, and take you back to Anzac Day 2023. Miller, according to Sean's reporting, driving while unauthorised, ducked into a side street to avoid both an RBT and his 19th conviction for breaching the state's road rules. When an SA police officer tried to stop him, he instead accelerated, dragging the officer 100 metres at 40 kilometres an hour before flinging him into a curb, tree and bins. Sean, good morning to you. How does the court look upon someone who's on their, 19th, 20th chance?
Well, guys, what the court actually did was it decided to quote someone who knows Miller very well. Judge Anthony Allen said the person that had summed the entire thing up best was Miller's partner at the time, because Miller, after doing this to the police officer, rang his partner and said what had just happened. And she replied, as the judge said, "Are you effing kidding me? What the F is wrong with you? You'd rather get done for that than an effing breatho. Are you serious?"
Yeah, indeed.
And it's a gobsmacking circumstance. You know, not only was Miller doing this while he shouldn't have been on the road in the first place, not only does he have 18 prior convictions at this point, not only does he injure somebody, a police officer who, by the way, was volunteering to do RBT duties while actually off duty, having done other work that day, but he did all this while his son was sitting in the front seat of the car as well.
Unbelievable. I didn't know about the son, really.
All because he didn't want to be arrested in front of his son. I'm pretty sure the son's got a more traumatic experience to live through now than he would have if he'd seen Dad get locked in the clink for a bit of booze.
Sean, I remember us covering this when this crime occurred and being appalled about it and saying on air, as we often do, well, let's just see what happens, because we've seen instances where police have been injured and there's been excuses made and so forth. I reckon in this case, we should give huge credit to the judge, Anthony Allen, because his honour, with the laws available to him, I reckon has pretty much thrown the book at this bludger.
Oh, look, absolutely. He said if it hadn't been for the guilty pleas that Allen entered, and he did have a bit to say about those guilty pleas, we'll come back to that in a second. If it hadn't been for the guilty pleas that Miller entered, he would have sentenced him to 5 years jail. But instead he made it 4.5 years. Now, as we've talked about before and as we've discussed on Just Lawful, that's longer than you get for death by dangerous driving.
Yeah, well I mean, there is that inconsistency, but I thought it was really commendable that the judge, he only reduced his sentence by 6 months, so he still gave him 4.5, even though obviously he's backdated because he has been in custody. But the language that the judge used, I liked the total absence of any kind of rationalisations or downplayings or excuse making. that the judge really put it on this bloke where he says, you are a deeply damaged individual, your actions were unquestionably cowardly. And it feels to me like there is a judge who is lockstep with public opinion that if people's behaviour goes on and on and on unchecked for so long, and His Honour also, I note, said he regards this man as pretty much zero prospects of rehabilitation because he's in denial, well, cop it sweet, you're going inside. It's a good judgment.
Couldn't agree with you more, and that's why I pointed out the fact the sentence is longer than death by dangerous driving, because Judge Allen has gone here and said, look, it doesn't matter that someone didn't die. The circumstances leading up to this incident and the circumstances following this incident were such that a condign punishment is warranted, and if I can give you the maximum I can give you at law, I'm going to do it. Because Miller, and he wasn't punished for this specifically, the judge was very quick to say this, but when Miller came to court having pleaded guilty, he then started saying, oh, well, my partner was at a medical emergency and I needed to get there and I just couldn't stop and that's why I did it. And the judge referred to it as a farrago of lies. And I actually had to look up what a farrago meant because I'd never heard the word before, but it means a confused mixture.
Yeah.
So he was saying, you really weren't making any sense when you were trying to lie about what you did and why you did. And the clearest thing that we've got about all of this is what you said to your partner in the moment. So I couldn't agree more. We've seen a sentence here for an attack, literally, on a police officer doing their job. We've seen a sentence that is better than a lot of the death by dangerous driving sentences we see, in fact, almost all of them. And it should really be, I think, a benchmark for two of those big issues we've been talking about as a community, assaults on police and incidents on the road.
Yeah, completely.
Can you explain a little bit more, Sean, the manner in which the fact that this was done to a policeman did or didn't apply in this case? I know if it was an assault, it would immediately trigger it into the aggravated category, but it seems almost everything about this would have pushed it into the aggravated version of the charge that he ultimately pleaded guilty to.
Yeah, spot on, Will. It was definitely part of the circumstances of aggravation. There isn't something in the law that says you get to, as a judge, punish someone more for a driving incident because a police officer is involved. There's no, you add an extra X amount of time or something like that. But you take it into consideration in the circumstances of the offending. For example, in this case, the police officer, the reason he got dragged was because he'd actually already reached into the car to try to switch it off. And that's when this bloke floored it. So he was hanging by his arm through the window of the car. So that's an aggravated circumstance because it's not like you accidentally bumped into someone, sideswiped them with your mirror, didn't see them as they were crossing the road, etc. You knew the person was there. You didn't care. You were just flooring it, and this poor cop is trying to run along until he can, not keep up any longer and gets, as we said, flung into stationary objects. So that's all a circumstance of aggravation.
One swallow doesn't make a summer, but I'm wondering, and maybe I'm reading too much into the opening line of your reporting, Sean, but you say Nathan Heath Miller has no licence to drive, but every time behind the wheel drives like his traumatised past gives him licence to break the law without consequences. Are you detecting any weariness among the judiciary when it comes to the manner in which past trauma is being used in cases now, or more scepticism?
I think with the modern judiciary, and I'll divide it that way, those who have been most recently in practice and more recently coming onto the bench, so I'm not talking about inexperience here, I'm just talking about the passage of time. You're seeing a change in that because it is happening so much. When I first started doing this gig, it was a case of you would introduce a client's disturbed past by saying, Your Honour, the following is not an excuse, it's an explanation. We seem to have lost that differential. The idea that, no, we're not trying to just tell you why this person is like it is. We're trying to elicit sympathy and trying to get off quicker, lighter, more merciful, whatever, by pouring on what these people have been through. Now, look, we can't go into what this trauma is, otherwise I would have gone into it in my article, and you can draw your own conclusions from there as to why it can't be reported. Suffice it to say, it is genuine trauma. It is bloody awful, but it doesn't mean you get to step on the gas while a cop is hanging out the window. And that's exactly the point the judge was making. There are some things that do not compute, that do not connect. And in this particular case, you've done stuff like this 18 times before, never to this level. If you were truly interested in sorting yourself out, if you were truly interested in taking up some kind of personal responsibility for healing from your trauma, you would have done it by now. But instead, you just keep trotting it out as an excuse again and again and again.
Unlike the many, many, many other people who've experienced all sorts of trauma and hardship in their lives and don't go around behaving like this.
Not like the copper who's got to be traumatised for the rest of his life for the fact that he got thrown through the air by a car.
Do we know if he's still in the job, that copper?
He's still in the job, yes, he's still in the job. He suffered a pretty bad broken leg. He wasn't at the court hearing, but one of his colleagues was there to listen on his behalf. And I can only hope this officer's making a full recovery. It sounds from what the judge said like he's still battling some lingering issues. And boys, you know how long ago it was that I broke my ankle, and I'm still dealing with that all these years later. So I can only wish that officer the best, because my ankle break was nowhere near as severe as what he's been through, and this has been bad enough.
Yeah, totally. Well, I don't know if he's got any gaps in his diary, if he could check his Outlook calendar, but I reckon the more trials Justice Anthony Allen presides over, the better. Sling a few more his way. He's good.
The last couple that I've seen, and we talked about him extensively during JL's coverage of Death by Dangerous Driving, His Honour takes a dim view of idiocy on the roads, and it is very refreshing to hear.
Yeah, great stuff.
Absolutely.
Fascinating as always, Sean. Great analysis. Sean Fuster, the Chief Court Reporter at The Tiser, of course.
Pity you can't get judges.
Just Lawful on 5AA as well, and wherever you get your podcasts.
It's a pity you can't get judges to come on the radio. How good would it be to actually have a judge in here and just walk through, okay, Justice Allen, tell us your thinking.
Yeah.
And if you could actually, if everything was on the record, what do you think of this guy in the dock?
There might be...
When he said this, what was your thought?
Yeah, it'd be terrific. And you might find in some cases that extra layer of transparency would give people a better understanding on some decisions.
Totally.
They go, okay, well, actually...
I think they should be able to televise them. I mean, if it's...
Completely.
The logic is, as a member of the public, you're allowed to go and sit there in the public gallery. So why, if that right is afforded to people who are physically present, why can't it be on TV?
Yeah, I think the judges would probably benefit from that, to be honest.
Yeah, I actually think people would watch it and they'd get a better idea. They go, oh, okay, I see what the judges
it is complicated.
There.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you,
like
Sean.
the weight of precedent and...
Yes.
You know,
yeah,
a lot of things to factor in.
All right, we're going to check traffic and come back with David Kosh in just a moment. Every office is different. Every client is special. Corporate Clean Property Services. No cut corners, just clean ones.
Thanks, Will. Watch out for a burst water main at the moment in Jepps Cross, Cavern Road near Churchill Road North. Traffic lights out in all directions in Highbury at the Lower North East Road Valley Road intersection. Ongoing works today, Holbrooks Road near Garden Terrace in Underdale and Portrush Road near William Street in Nord affecting outbound. And watch your speeds today, Langman Grove in Felixstowe and Woolner Road in Semaphore. Every day, 8 babies in Australia are born with childhood onset heart disease. This February, your support can make an amazing impact. Visit sweetheartsforheartkids.org.au today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift.
Right now, Toyota Material Handling is having a massive clear out of 2024 plated forklifts. Score great deals across a selected range of new Toyota forklifts currently in stock. Counterbalance and reach forklifts, walkie stackers and more. If it's 2024 plated, get a great Toyota forklift deal. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au.
Get a Toyota forklift.
Terms and conditions apply. Offer ends April 30.
Beechwood Homes, Adelaide's leading bespoke home builder, celebrates 35 years. Over that time, they've helped many hundreds of people realise their dream of building a home exactly how they envisioned it. That's the wonderful thing about building with Beechwood. There are no set plans, no set rules. It all starts with a pen, paper, and your ideas. Just like it did 35 years ago. If you can dream it, Beechwood Homes can build it. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home.
Gone are the days of bulky solar panels. NRG Solar is ushering in a new era of sleek, efficient solar technology. With just a few panels, harness the power of the sun like never before. The equation is simple. More efficiency, more savings. Join the revolution with NRG Solar. Discover simplicity at 1275 South Road St Mary's or online at nrgsolar.com.au. NRG Solar, for a brighter, more sustainable tomorrow.
Now, as you settle into 2025, make fresh seafood from Samtas part of your weekly routine. The more fish you eat, the longer you will live. There you go. This week, enjoy fresh, large blue swimmer crabs. How cheap's this? $17.99 a kilo, yum. Or tender local gar fillets starting at $33.99 a kilo.
Or you can spoil yourself like royalty with premium King George whiting fillets, only $73.99 a kilo. Factory direct prices mean top quality at the best value, and they're open 7 days.
And don't forget the deal that everyone's talking about. It has not changed. 4 kilos, still just $60. Tassie salmon cutlets and portions, Barra, flathead, New Zealand dory, salt and pepper squid, mix, match and save, because a weekly seafood meal from Samtas means serious savings and superior quality.
Samtas Seafoods, 201 Richmond Road, Richmond. Specials available now. Start your 2025 routine with a fresh seafood meal every week. For the best seafood and the best value, it's always Samtas.
Doing day-to-day things online has made our lives easier. Paying bills, shopping, banking. It all makes perfect sense to do online. But what doesn't make sense is doing your will online. It's fraught with potential problems and can leave a mess behind. From the simplest to the most complex wills and estate plans, Donlan Lawyers can answer your questions and help carry out your final wishes properly. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com, Hindmarsh Square, Adelaide, and Ocean Street, Victor Harbour.
Hyundai's Keys to Summer event is here. Unlock offers across a wide range of Hyundai models. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
And they could never tear us apart.
David Kosh on 5AA Breakfast.
6 to 8, it's coming to that point of the year where footy's the biggest story each and every week, but it feels oddly Koshy at the moment. Like every time we come to chat with you, it's some big global economic story that's the biggest story to talk about. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Yes, it's called The World of Trump. It is everyone's, well, I don't know about favourite, but most compelling reality TV show at the moment. What will Donald do overnight when we've woken up each morning?
No one can guess.
The time difference is extraordinary with it too, isn't it, Dave? Because you do wake up in the morning and the world yet again is a slightly different place.
And he just throws all these one-liners out there, which often aren't based on fact, but then the world's economic superpower keeps changing course all the time. So, it keeps us on our toes, that's for sure.
He's had another good one this morning that we're going to play after 8 o'clock and talk about, actually. But we wanted to get to this question of tariffs. Now, we've done it from the political point of view with Trump whispering, trying to determine whether he sees tariffs as a legitimate part of how he sees the world, or if they're simply a tool to coerce neighbours and others to bend to his will. But we want to talk about from an Australian perspective. If something like a US-China trade war does develop, and China have announced retaliatory tariffs overnight on specific areas of the US economy, if they aren't able to come to some agreement by February 10 and these things do linger, what are the results for Australia? What does it mean if the Australian dollar falls? Are there opportunities for Australia? Just in an entirely parochial perspective, Koshi, on what this might mean for us.
Entirely parochial. Let's start with the first question. Would Donald Trump ever impose tariffs on Australian exports into America? Doubtful, because America has a massive trade surplus with us. In other words, they make more money exporting to us than we make exporting to them. And that's been in place for 20 or 30 years. So you can't say we're taking advantage of the American consumer. China is our biggest customer, yes. If there's a trade war between China and the US, a lot of the economists are saying, well, then China will have to look to other markets to sell its products, and that could bring down prices on Chinese imports into us. So Chinese goods could be cheaper. Also, if it damages the Chinese economy, they'll need to stimulate it. The government will need to pour money into the Chinese economy. And that will be good for us and good for our exporters, because usually they stimulate the economy by building things. That means steel mills go into bigger production. That means we sell more iron ore and coal to them. Australian dollar going down, terrible for us if we want a holiday in America, because it becomes flaming expensive. Talking from experience, just in October, and it's dropped even further then. But great for our exporters, because even though, for example, iron ore commodity prices have dropped a fair way in the last year, because the Australian dollar's down about 10%, that's been a really good cushion for it because we get paid in US dollars. And so we make profit on the currency side of it. Would you believe back in 2011, we were at parity with the US dollar for a dollar. Now we're about 60 cents.
Well, to your point too, Koshy, you mentioned 2011. That was around the time we saw the final and formal demise of the Australian car industry. And while there were a lot of factors at play there, including the cost of labour locally and so forth, and changing appetites for cars and so on, but one of the big things that killed it was the fact that the dollar was so high.
Yes, yeah, exactly right. And when the dollar's low, we can export. Imports are more expensive, so homegrown products have an advantage in the domestic market, but as they export, they get an advantage as well. And don't forget, Donald Trump's got to fix the US debt problem, and tariffs mean more money into the coffers. US debt is currently above what its debt was when it was fighting Hitler, when it had to borrow all that money to fund a war. It is, and that's been the peak of American debt over its history. It's now higher than that. $1 trillion a year just in interest.
That's where Elon Musk comes into the equation too, doesn't
Exactly.
he? Yeah.
Cut expenses, tariffs bring in more revenue. So there's a bit of logic to what he's doing from a financial point of view.
Now, Koshy, just to end with a slightly controversial question, another far less reputable radio station than I won't call them that. Triple M ran some crazy rumour saying they're trying to force you into retirement. They ran some rumour saying you're going to be stepping down as port chairman and Darren Cahill's going to take over. Would you like to? Feel free to shoot that one down in flames if you want, or confirm it.
I have no knowledge of that. I have extraordinary respect for Darren. He was on our board for a number of years, and then stepped down to go back on the tennis circuit. So Killer is a great bloke and really good, but no, I haven't got any intention. And members. It's up to members, but we have the fourth highest member satisfaction of any club in the AFL. So it seems as though members are pretty happy with where it's going. And I'm enjoying it. Look, I'm not going to be there forever. There will be a time when I do want to step down. But we've got a fair bit to achieve. The club's in a pretty good place on field and off field at the moment.
Good on you, Dave. David Kosh, Compare the Market Economic Director, and of course, the ongoing chairman of the Port Adelaide Football Club. Thanks, Dave.
See you guys. Bye.
The news and information that matters. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Sunny and 31 today with the 8 o'clock news. Good morning, I'm Matthew Pantelis.
RAA approved windscreen repairer, Complete Windscreens, your insurer repairer of choice. Visit completewindscreens.com.au.
Police resources allocated to investigating youth crime, domestic and family violence, cybercrime and retail theft have been significantly boosted. More than 70 police have been redirected to a range of key frontline areas to provide the most benefit to the community and enhance public safety and well-being. 51 roles have become available following the introduction of police security officers in custody management areas, hiring civilians for some jobs and the rationalisation of small police stations. The Police Minister, Stephen Mulligan, says additional government funding has also delivered another 20 roles.
This huge step up in policing is only possible because the government's allocated so much extra funding to release sworn police officers from more support type roles back onto frontline services. And today's announcement sees the benefit of that funding getting more sworn police officers onto frontline services protecting the community.
Premier Peter Malinauskas says he has grave concerns over the future of the Whyalla steelworks. Contractors remain unpaid, the Premier saying it's a substantial policy challenge for the state and economy. He says the government is concerned about GFG's ability to fund its ongoing future. In Sweden, around 10 people have been killed in a shooting at an adult school campus. The attacker, believed to be amongst the dead, but authorities say they can't rule out more perpetrators connected to the incident. The fate of Australian citizen Oscar Jenkins and more aid for Ukraine have dominated talks between the leaders of both countries. Federal Politics editor Michael Packett.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has held a conversation with his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky. Mr Albanese has raised concerns about the welfare of Australian citizen Oscar Jenkins, who's being held captive by Russia. In a social media post, President Zelensky acknowledged the Jenkins matter and also urged the federal government to fast-track military aid to the war-ravaged country. Australia has already contributed more than $1 billion in the 3 years since Russia's illegal invasion.
New stalking laws are in place in SA, lowering the threshold for the offence. The changes will allow mental harm to be included along with harassment. Attorney General Kaya Ma says the legislation also includes new technologies in stalking.
And making sure examples given include new technologies, new ways of communication and surveillance technologies.
A crackdown on antisocial behaviour by housing trust tenants is on the way. The state government making changes to the way the housing trust deals with antisocial behaviour, with verbal warnings to be replaced by written formal warnings. A second proven complaint within a reasonable time will go to a dispute resolution conference. A third will be followed by an application to the tribunal for eviction. Tenants removed from housing trust properties won't be able to apply for another one for a year and will be directed towards homelessness services. Research suggests 65% of Australians are struggling to cope with hotter weather. Today is the nation's first ever Extreme Heat Awareness Day. Sweltering cities. Emma Bacon says the initiative aims to promote community safety and provide guidance on dangerous heat events.
But the important thing is to remember is that no one isn't at risk. We all need to make sure we're drinking enough water, we're looking out for each other, and we're playing that role in making sure everyone can stay safe on hot days.
Matilda's captain Sam Kerr told a court she can't remember calling a British policeman stupid and white. She's back in court on trial for racially aggravated harassment of a police officer. She's testified she was intoxicated and vomiting and claims she was held hostage for 50 minutes in a cab after a dispute with the driver. But despite having the audio of the outburst played to the court, Kerr maintains she can't remember making the statements. Turning to 5AA Sport.
Call Glider Roll now. Order a new door with operator before the end of February and receive 2 extra handsets.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Matty. Let's start with cricket. Sam Constas will return home to Australia to play Sheffield Shield after being told he'd be left out of the second test against Sri Lanka in Galle. He could feature in Australia A's tour of India later this year. Teammate Travis Head says it's been an invaluable experience for the 19-year-old.
Whether he played or not played, it's great to have him here in great different experience conditions. I don't think there'll be a test match. I don't think there's been a test match in the history that they've blooded someone or thought there was a free hit. We're here to win 2-0 and Sam's a big part of where we're going, and there's no doubt about it.
Adelaide's players will train at Westlakes this morning with veteran midfielder Matt Crouch to give an update on his and the team's progress following the session. Port Adelaide's players will also hit the training track at Alberton around 9:30am. Meantime, Ross Lyon has declared Rowan Marshall will play in St Kilda's round 1 match against Adelaide. The ruckman is racing the clock to recover from a stress fracture on his pelvis. Adelaide United's players will train today as they prepare for Friday night's big game against Melbourne City at home. The Reds looking to bounce back following last weekend's 4-1 loss against Sydney FC. Meantime, in the EPL, Chelsea forward João Felix has been loaned out to AC Milan until the end of the season. One game to kick off the final round of the minor round in the NBL tonight, with the New Zealand Breakers hosting the Illawarra Hawks. Meantime, in the NBA, Luka Doncic will wear the number 77 at the Lakers after arriving in LA following his trade from the Dallas Mavericks. And that's the 5AA Sport.
5AA Traffic.
Lynn Andrews Real Estate. Experts in commercial and residential property management. lynnandrews.com.au.
Hey, good morning. Watch out for a crash at the moment in Kings Park, Goodwood Road near Crossroad. Got traffic light issues in Highbury. That's the Lower North East Road, Valley Road intersection. And a burst water main in Jepps Cross, Cavan Road near Churchill Road North. Cameras at the moment, Dutton Terrace in Medindie and Hectorville Road in Hectorville. Expect compliments this summer with Mercedes-Benz. Enjoy complimentary offers across the range. Head in store or online today to find out more. Limited time only. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
And 5AA's forecast.
The heat is on. Keep cool with a cool summer aircon service from Automasters.
31 today, 34 tomorrow, the sun out every day, 29 on Friday, a warm weekend, temps around 30. Right now 18, 5AA, always Adelaide.
Hi, I'm Bronte Manuel from Toop and Toop. With Adelaide's reputation for major events and festivals, it's not just our city that's attracting attention, our property market is too. With a majority of our best buyers last year purchasing from interstate or internationally, this period offers homeowners a unique chance to showcase their property to a wider audience. Whether it's expats returning home or investors drawn to Adelaide's lifestyle and opportunities, at Toop and Toop, we have proven strategies to help you take full advantage of this moment. Our team works proactively to match the right buyers with the right homes, ensuring no opportunity is missed. So if you're thinking of selling, we'd love to help. Visit toop.com.au. Toop and Toop, Adelaide's trusted real estate advisors.
I'll grab a few people I know. We'll mark out some places to go. There's no invitation, just a destination, and that's the best freedom I know. Jump in the Jayco. Jump in the Jayco. Yeah, that's the best freedom I know.
The most frustrating thing about having your car repaired after a collision can be the wait. Sometimes months. At Premier Panel Services, the wait is one thing you won't have to worry about. We've expanded our workshop and our highly skilled team. It means we're better equipped to deliver an outstanding outcome for you and your car. RAA and MTA approved, Premier Panel Services work with most insurance companies. So ask for Premier Panel Services and get back on the road sooner.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on, or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Local and experienced trade specialists.
For a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
Streaming live via the 5AA Player app on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. This is 5AA, always Adelaide.
Hyundai's Keys to Summer event is here. Unlock offers across a wide range of Hyundai models. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
10 minutes after 8, an hour ago, we chatted with the CFS about the Wilmington fire. The firefighters are still battling. Thankfully, the firefighter was injured in that fight. Sounds like he's doing okay and is on the mend. We're going to talk about the sort of risks firefighters take after 8:30 and chat with Gary Marsh, who is a firefighter battling a form of cancer. He's got a lymphoma. Now, all the evidence demonstrates that firefighters are at greater risk than the normal person because they're going into areas where there are things, toxic fumes, they're inhaling things, they're subject to conditions that can bring on these sorts of conditions. Now, you would imagine that they are well and truly covered for that very predictable eventuality. They are in part. But there are some holes, and Gary Marsh has fallen into one of those. He's going to join us on the program after 8:30 today. We're also going to play you some extraordinary audio out of a classroom in the north of Adelaide, where
you guys broke this last night. Didn't
it was
you?
on 7 News last night.
Is extraordinary of this mother, and we should be. I'll be uncharacteristically cautious with what I say about her because the cops are talking to her, and I think she's got a bit of explaining to do, but my God, on the face of the video...
We'll play a bit of it, but let's just... It's going to be heavily beeped.
Get the bleepers ready.
It's hard to... But you'll get a sense, this was a parent talking to a 12-year-old. Now, whatever the circumstances that led to it are one thing, but the conduct of the parent here is concerning, and it's...
Well, it's actually like the most appalling form of escalating behaviour.
Oh.
And I think it shows, too, that... Yeah, and this is where I'm going to sound like an AEU organiser here, but the nature of teaching has changed so much where the rise of bullying fueled by digital media, the internet, all of that, social media platforms, but also the role of parents. Increasingly, I think ratbag parents are becoming part of the challenge for schools today. And, you know, that wasn't happening when I was at school in the 70s. It's Just bizarre.
Also, coming up, we'll reveal which country Donald Trump has threatened to obliterate. That's happened in the last hour. Yeah, he's had a little bit to say about someone.
Iran?
You may be correct. We'll find out shortly.
Well, as you heard at the top of the 8 o'clock news with Matt Pantelis before, SAPOL last night contacted all of its staff unveiling a major redeployment, which is going to, even though the police have had some recruitment problems, they've actually, through the civilianisation of positions, been able to create a whole bunch of new frontline roles, some of which are in areas of huge concern, particularly around gang crime, through the Meld and Mandrake operations. To flesh this out further in terms of what it actually means for frontline policing, we're joined for a special one-off breaking at 8 by our good friend, the Commissioner, Grant Stevens. Commissioner, thanks for coming on for breaking at 8.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks.
We've spent a lot of the last year talking to you in our regular catch-ups about how tight things are, and also talking about concerns particularly around domestic violence, shoplifting, youth crime. This seems to address all of those issues at once.
Well, this is a very positive step forward, David, and it's about us making sure that we're focusing on what matters most when we talk about where we put our resources. And as you said in your introduction, as a result of government funding that saw us employing more police security officers, funding to civilianise some positions, as well as us identifying police stations that no longer were serving the community sufficiently, we've been able to create a bucket of police positions and recreate positions in critical roles that will definitely help improve public safety. That includes, as you say, more family violence investigators in country locations, volume crime teams in country local service areas, our tactical flight officers who provide that airborne support to patrols will now have permanent staff, a cyber team, as well as making sure that our shop theft operation continues to run with the right number of people, and our new youth and street gangs task force is permanently staffed by people who are posted to those locations to continue the work that's been done by Operation Meld and Operation Mandrake.
So Meld and Mandrake, Meld had, I often get them asked about, but there's clearly a focus on African gang crime and also youth gang crime and a lot of Indigenous youth crime with both of those task forces. What's the logic of sort of folding them into one?
Yeah, so what's been happening for a few years now, and you're exactly right. Operation Meld is looking at African gangs, not necessarily just young people, and Mandrake looks at youth crime with our recidivist offenders in that category. They've been operations that have been run on a semi-permanent basis, where we've taken people from our districts and seconded them into those operations. This new task force means that those secondments will no longer happen. So we're going to have the ability to retain people in the districts, and the task force will have its own dedicated people. So it stops us having to take people or pinch people from our frontline patrols to run these special operations. We now have a dedicated group of people that will be doing that. And
is the logic there that, you know, that will sort of end up having more corporate knowledge because you'll have much more stability with that team and they can share intelligence and chart patterns of behaviour and so forth with a much stronger focus because they're basically one big unit all working together, same people all the time?
That's right, and the important thing though is it's exactly what you say, but we don't have to harvest people from our frontline district patrols to staff the operations. Those people go back to their patrol duties, and this dedicated group will be permanently posted to the new task force, which is a very positive thing.
You guys have been copping a bit of attention with various flare-ups, bottle shop thefts, and often they come in clusters. And you know, we had publicans on a couple of weeks ago, quite understandably, saying, "Well, this is the second time we've been done in a week." Having said that, though, there was actually some reasonably good news yesterday that Will and I were talking about involving the rate of shoplifting crime. Some reassuring signs on that front, Commissioner.
You're right, David. We've seen about a 2% reduction in the incidence of shop theft, but that is cold comfort to the people who are the victims of these crimes, particularly these brazen offences where we see a group of people swarming into a store, threatening staff. It doesn't mean much to those people that we've seen a reduction, but it does show that the focus we're putting on to shop theft is paying dividends. But one offence is too many if you're the victim of that offence. So we're still working in this space. And I would also point out that we believe that the vast majority of these offences are committed by a very small number of repeat offenders.
And there's extra officers going into the shoplifting area, aren't there, under this new plan?
That's exactly right. So at the moment, we've been, once again, seconding people from frontline patrols to dedicate themselves to shop theft. This deployment of new police positions means that those secondments don't have to happen anymore, and we'll have dedicated staff working on Operation Measure, which targets recidivist offenders for shop theft.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, thanks for fleshing that out a lot more, Commissioner. We'll catch up with you soon. Commissioner Grant Stevens joining us for Breaking at 8.
Let us know your thoughts on the police home care text line 0480 1395. You can call us on 8223 0000 or jump on the Facebook and YouTube live stream at any time. It's 18 after 8. We're going to check traffic and come back with more in just a moment. Every office is different. Every client is special. Corporate Clean Property Services. No cut corners, just clean ones.
Yeah, well, a couple of crashes to watch out for at the moment. In Gills Plains, a car's got into a Stobie pole, North East Road near Wandana Avenue. In Kings Park, Goodwood Road near Crossroad. Also got some traffic light issues in Highbury. They're out in all directions at the lower North East Road, Valley Road intersection there. Got a burst water main too, Jeps Cross, Cavern Road near Churchill Road North. Give your pet a forever vet at Green Cross Vets. Book an appointment now and save on vet recommended products in clinic. Visit greencrossvets.com.au. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA Sports Show. Rowie and Timmy G.
Travis Head, he is our first, that is South Australia's, AB medalist, a sensational season.
Pretty hard to believe, so it's been a good year.
Now, a year ago he was dropped.
I think it's back to 23 actually.
But he was dropped.
He was.
At Test team.
In India.
The 5AA Sports Show.
And now we could flick the bird to those selectors and say, I am the AB medalist.
Weekdays from 4 p.m. on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
NRG Solar knows that solar isn't just about panels. It's about future-proofing. Start your journey to self-sufficiency today. Be the visionary. Take charge. NRG Solar's new warehouse is fully stocked with a stunning range of wholesale solar and battery equipment. See it for yourself. Discover the power of solar at NRG Solar. Call 1300 858 160 or visit nrgsolar.com.au and make tomorrow brighter. That's nrgsolar.com.au.
Right Price, Adelaide's best in heating and cooling, has risen to new heights. Literally, Right Price are now your roofing people too. Same exceptional service, value and quality. From total roof replacement, including tiled roof installation, to tile roof repairs, cleaning and painting. And for peace of mind, a rock-solid quote. So the only surprise you'll get is how magnificent your roof and home looks. Do it right. Visit rightpriceroofing.com.au.
You can get your roof right at Right Price.
Hi, Brett Ebert here for Mawson Lakes Mazda. There's a lot to like about Mawson Lakes Mazda. They'll take care of you with next day servicing, complimentary loan car, vacuum and wash. And your breakfast or lunch is on them. Your car gets the love too with their state-of-the-art service centre, brimming with top-trained mechanics. At Mawson Lakes Mazda, they'll look after your car and look after you. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
Dockside Festival returns this Feb at the historic Hearts Mill in Port Adelaide. Over 2 vibrant days, this free family event celebrates the Port River with water activities and live music on the wharf. Dive into interactive workshops, the best street food, plus creative installations showcasing the area's thriving art scene with exhibits, performances and local makers. Mark it on the calendar. Dockside Festival 8th and 9th of Feb. Celebrate the port, the river and its people. docksidefestival.com.au.
Margie loves it when people comment on her garden.
I love your roses, Margie.
As a keen gardener for many years, it fills her heart with pride and joy.
Just stunning, Margie.
And at Anglicare SA, it warms our hearts to let Margie take all the credit. Anglicare SA's home and community services for seniors can be tailored to anything you need, whether it's personal care, shopping, coordination and clinical services, or gardening. For more, visit anglicaresa.com.au.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
Hyundai's Keys to Summer event is here. Unlock offers across a wide range of Hyundai models. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
22 minutes after 8, the US President Donald Trump has continued signing executive orders. He signed another in the last couple of hours, reinstating a maximum pressure campaign against Iran, the aim to drive Iranian oil exports to zero. It's punitive for what Donald Trump sees as that nation's ongoing desire to develop a nuclear weapons capability. He says
not to mention the fact that they are behind Hamas, Hezbollah.
Absolutely.
What are they called? The Houthis?
Yeah. I don't think exerting this pressure is particularly controversial.
Why did Biden ever stop it?
I don't know if he knew it was going on.
Yeah. God save the Queen, man.
He was asked in the process of doing this, though, whether what concerns he had about a plot that you may well remember was revealed late last year when the US Justice Department released charges in November that there was an Iranian plot to kill Donald Trump before the presidential election. So whilst he was signing the order, he's got the media all there, and you can hear a bit of this question about, well, are you concerned about doing this given that plot hangs over your head? Here's what Donald Trump had to say.
And why say that you're unhappy to sign it if it's Iran and their proxies who have threatened to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani?
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do. Not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That would be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why, lack of intelligence perhaps. But he never said it. If that happens to a leader, or close to a leader, frankly, if you had other people involved also, you would call for total obliteration of a state that did it. That would include Iran. So I'm signing this, and it's a very powerful document, but hopefully we're not going to have to use it.
It doesn't mince words, does Donald Trump, does he?
Exactly. No, you never need to ask the...
what does he mean?
The follow-up, do you? What are you...
Yeah.
What's the message you're trying to get across there?
You don't need to decipher the spin, do you?
Well, I reckon good on him in the context of Iran.
Yeah, it's hard to... I don't think there's going to be too many people argue with that.
That government is an absolute disgrace. The way it treats women... You know, that poor girl who got beaten to death. It is utterly demented medieval theocracy. It's even pre-medieval.
I mean, the substance of what he's saying is unremarkable. In
seen the photos of what Tehran looked like when the Shah was running the joint?
Yeah, it's a very progressive,
women out there going to uni,
of,
smoking, drinking, wearing good clothes. Like, it's just...
I mean, what he's saying is unremarkable. Would be the case here too in Australia. If you assassinated the head of a country, there's obviously going to be some sort of response. He's just got away with words. Obliteration and nothing left, and it paints a sort of quite a powerful picture.
I mean, there is the small point of what would obliteration look like. You know, those long-suffering Iranian people who would actually like their country to be a lot more enlightened than it is would be the cannon fodder for said obliteration. There is that.
But you know what? It's a good point, because this is a microcosm of how Trump operates. That's for other people to work out. His job is the message, and the message is don't do any funny business.
Yeah.
And so you're right. There's a real genuine moral element to this, but that's for other people. His job, he sees himself as the message guy. I'm telling you what's going to happen.
And there is a sort of historic sense of it, and you know, it's like the late 30s where the sort of the Neville Chamberlain type approach to tyranny is you go, well, maybe we just sort of all try to keep things sweet, and Mr. Hitler will
give him a little bit of what they
calm
want.
down. You know, okay, he wants to take Poland, Czechoslovakia. Well, let's just sort of see how it all plays out. And then someone like Churchill comes along and goes, "This guy's evil. We got to kill him.
Yeah,
we're going to do everything we can." And that's going to come at a big cost, and it's going to involve the death of innocent Germans. You know, or German people who are nothing other than at worst fellow travellers for what's been going on there since 1933. But, you know, there's a certain brutal moral clarity about it, where if Iran is going to behave the way it does, why play footsies with these psychopaths?
Yeah, there's comeuppance.
Totally.
All right, let's check the fuel situation here in Adelaide, as opposed to the oil-generating capacity of Iran.
They might be intertwined soon.
They might just be. It's better to be a member with RAA Rewards. Download the RAA app and start saving today. The ex-convenience North East Road Hillcrest is cheap. I'm going to call it cheap. It's $100.60, $1.59.5. The OTR South Road St Mary's, $1.64.9. So too the Caltex Port Road at Queenstown. The cheapest diesel, the ex-convenience Henley Beach Torrensville at $1.75.5.
Take one, Ray. Too fast, Ray.
You did say to read it faster than a NAB home loan approval.
Touche, Ray.
Search NAB Home Loans. NAB, more than money. T's and C's, fees, charges, eligibility and lending criteria apply. See our website for details.
Adelaide's local, trusted and truly connected talkback radio station. 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Get ready, Adelaide. Join Adelaide Symphony Orchestra for Piano Man at the Festival Theatre, bringing Billy Joel's greatest hits to life like never before. Hear classics like Just the Way You Are, Uptown Girl, Vienna and Piano Man, reimagined with stunning orchestral arrangements. Four incredible vocalists, Phil Burton, Alinta Chidsey, Jess Hitchcock and Josh Pitterman, join the ASO for an unforgettable evening of Billy Joel's iconic anthems. Don't miss Piano Man this Friday and Saturday. Book at aso.com.au.
Are you looking for an accessible gym that accommodates all disabilities? A gym that focuses on fitness, health and mobility? We are Enable Fitness Centre, home to the biggest and best equipped disability exclusive gyms in South Australia. We're an NDIS provider and our gyms and facilities are all custom built, making them accessible for wheelchairs and ambulant clients with physical and intellectual disabilities. You can find us at Holden Hill, Marston and Elizabeth. Visit enablefitnesscentre.com.au for more information.
Now, home maintenance can be exhausting. You need to know a plumber, an electrician, a handyman and a renovator, or why not just swap all those numbers for one? Precise Plumbing and Electrical.
From plumbing and electrical work to pipe relining, bathroom renovations and handyman services, they're your one-stop solution with 25 years worth of happy customers.
And they'll service all areas of Adelaide and be there on time every time, with an expert in your field of need, ready to do top-notch work. In fact, they're so confident in their expertise, their workmanship comes with a lifetime warranty.
With free quotes and upfront fixed pricing, Precise Plumbing and Electrical is a name you can trust and the only name you need to remember. Visit preciseservices.com.au.
If the bank's declined your business loan, no worries. Universal Finance make business loans easy. No financials required. Unsecured business loans and business overdrafts. Universal Finance can help your business now. For lightning fast settlement, sometimes in just a matter of hours. See Universal Finance in Kent Town today. Or search Universal Finance right now. This is general advice only, and you should consider the terms and conditions before determining whether this advice is suitable for your situation.
MSC Cruises Seasational Sale is on now with Phil Hoffman Travel. Save up to 25% and receive up to $1,000 on board credit. Plus, kids cruise free and save up to 40% on drinks packages when you purchase in advance. Choose from 7 to 12 night voyages in the Mediterranean, Northern Europe, Asia, Caribbean and now Alaska. Offer ends 31st of March. Conditions apply. Contact Phil Hoffman Travel. Visit pht.com.au.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Sunny and 31 today with the 8:30 news. Good morning, I'm Matthew Pantelis.
Chipped windscreen? RAA approved repairer Complete Windscreens repairs it from just $99. Find the big red koala.
Hiring more police service officers will free up sworn police for more frontline roles on the beat. 70 police officers are being redirected to public safety positions, and a new youth and street gangs task force has been formed to tackle youth crime. Police Commissioner Grant Stevens on Breaking at 8 this morning, saying the government funding is a game changer.
As a result of government funding that saw us employing more police security officers, funding to civilianise some positions, as well as us identifying police stations that no longer were serving the community sufficiently, we've been able to create a bucket of police positions and recreate positions in critical roles that will definitely help improve public safety.
The state government says it holds grave fears over the future of the Whyalla steelworks. Creditors remain unpaid. Deliveries of ore stopped by train some months ago because the rail operator also hadn't been paid for services. The future of the $600 million green hydrogen plant also hinges on the steelworks continuing into the future. Treasurer Stephen Mulligan says the steelworks can't be allowed to fail.
The government's still committed to its hydrogen initiative. But of course, we also want to make sure that there is a major customer for that hydrogen, which is the steelworks. That is another reason why we're focusing so much time, effort and resources on working through the challenges that the steelworks are having.
The Prime Minister has raised the welfare of Australian man Oscar Jenkins while speaking with Ukraine's president. Mr Jenkins being held captive by Russia after being taken prisoner while fighting alongside Ukrainian troops. Volodymyr Zelensky using the call to push for more military aid and to thank Australia for its support in the war effort. A 56-year-old Elizabeth Downs man is in hospital with leg injuries after a hit-and-run crash on Burdell Street at 11:30 last night. Senior Constable Kate Dawson says witnesses were able to give police enough information for them to make an arrest.
About an hour later, following an investigation, patrols attended a nearby Elizabeth Downs address and arrested a 42-year-old man who's the alleged driver. He's been charged with an act likely to cause harm and leaving the scene of a crash. He will get a sample of his blood taken. The Ford was towed from his house and will be forensically examined, and this man will have a date with court in March.
Chinese artificial intelligence program DeepSeek has been banned from all federal government devices. The Commonwealth saying the app poses an unacceptable security risk. Uni of New South Wales cyber crime professor Richard Buckland says governments around the world are becoming increasingly concerned about the use of personal data.
I think it's even clearer than the TikTok case that any data put into it is sent to China and is kept there. In this phase now, when people are testing it and trying it, who knows what people will type in? You know, can you correct this letter for me? They get the letter. Can you summarise this video or this work presentation? They get the letter and the work presentation. So, yeah, I think it is really proof.
Wool production is sitting at its lowest level in a century. The Australian reporting the sheep industry is facing an exodus of workers due to a profitability crisis. Farmers urging the PM to back down on plans to close live sheep exports by May 2028. Turning to 5AA Sport.
Call Gliderol now. Order a new door with operator before the end of February and receive 2 extra handsets.
Good morning, Tom Wren.
And good morning to you as well, Matty. I want to start with footy. Port Adelaide Chairman David Kosh says he has no intentions of stepping down from the board anytime soon. Some rumours have been circulating that he might not continue in his role, but he's told David and Will he's very happy and motivated to keep going.
I'm not going to be there forever. There will be a time when I do want to step down, but you know we've got a fair bit to achieve. The club's in a pretty good place on field and off field at the moment.
Let's go to cricket. Pressure is once again building on Marnus Labuschagne ahead of the second test against Sri Lanka starting tomorrow. With Cameron Green expected to return for the World Test Championship final in June, Labuschagne's spot is now under threat. Meantime, former Australian captain Ricky Ponting has declared South African all-rounder Jacques Kallis as the best cricketer who's ever played the game. Well, Jordan Mailata is trying to have fun as he looks to become the first Australian to win a Super Bowl. His Philadelphia Eagles face the Kansas City Chiefs in New Orleans on Monday morning, Australian time. He says he's not overthinking things.
I don't make it too big. Just like to have fun. Also be serious at the same time. But Sunday's such a long way away in my head. So for right now, I just kind of keep it simple. Be where my feet are at. Don't make the moment bigger than it is.
And former world number 1 and 2-time major winner Simona Halep has announced her immediate retirement from tennis. She made the announcement after bowing out with a heavy first-round defeat at her home event in Romania, the Transylvania Open. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking the roads around Adelaide.
Lynn Andrews Real Estate, experts in commercial and residential property management. lynnandrews.com.au.
Couple of crashes to watch out for on your way into work this morning in Kings Park on Goodwood Road near Crossroad, and in Gillis Plains a car's gone into a Stobie pole, North East Road near Wandana Avenue. In Highbury, the traffic lights are out in all directions at the lower North East Road Valley Road intersection, and got a burst water main 2 in Jepps Cross, Cavan Road near Churchill Road North. Cameras set up at the moment in McGill Road and in Campbelltown on Clareville Road. Kids are now back at school. Please stay alert and follow the speed limit. Lucky you're with Amy, AAI Limited, trading as Amy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA's forecast.
The heat is on. Keep cool with a cool summer aircon service from Automasters.
31 today, staying sunny all week, 34 tomorrow, 29 Friday, a warm weekend around 30. Right now it's 19. 5AA, always Adelaide.
Hyundai's Keys to Summer event is here. Unlock offers across a wide range of Hyundai models. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
23 minutes to 9, I'm going to be chatting with the Education Minister, Blair Boyer, before 9 o'clock about that extraordinary outburst in a classroom north of Adelaide between a parent and a 12-year-old girl. Also, a pretty frightening incident for a parent of a young fella at Golden Grove as well. So there's a couple of things we want to get into with the Education Minister, and we'll do that very, very shortly. But before we do that, and if you're watching along on the Facebook and YouTube live stream, you'll note we've been joined in the studio by firefighter Gary Marsh, who you may have in fact read some of his story in the Tizer recently. He is fighting a fight I think we're all hoping he wins and believe he shouldn't have to fight in the first place. We have at times in the recent history talked about the firefighters unions fight to get certain cancers classified here, and for South Australian firefighters that they get covered for that already exist interstate, similar protections here in South Australia. Well, this isn't just a theoretical fight for Gary. He is battling a form of lymphoma that, as we said previously in the show, it's entirely predictable. Firefighters are walking into these sorts of environments who are exposed to chemicals and things that burn that heighten your risk. And it's not too much to suggest that there should be protections in place for if people are going to put themselves in harm's way, that we, those beneficiaries of that self-risk, protect them in some way. Well, Gary has fallen into a gap. He's in the studio to explain it to us. Gary, good morning to you.
Morning, fellas. Thanks for having me.
So how does it work? Explain why it can be that you're doing your job. You've been technically injured
yes,
in doing your job, yet you're not enjoying the sort of protection that most people, I think, would imagine you enjoy.
I guess I stumbled across all this unwillingly when I was diagnosed just over 2 years ago. I had some surgery to remove a enlarged lymph node just under my ear and my neck, and I had 4 or 5 weeks off and went back to work feeling relatively well, but a wait and watch policy or procedure on my particular cancer. Unfortunately, the cancer has progressed in the last 3 or 6 months, which required me to have chemotherapy, immunotherapy to slow the spread. Lo and behold, day 1 of my surgery, or the diagnosis date, is the time clock that starts ticking when you are in the return to work or the work cover legislation as it currently sits. And you are entitled to a year's full pay and then possibly 80% on the second year. Those 2 years have passed for me, so I'm not entitled to any wage protection as it currently sits.
So the clock doesn't restart even though you're still fighting cancer?
No.
And from what my reading of the article, Gary, it said you might be reimbursed for what they call reasonable expenses. Well, the cost of treatment and so forth, how do you define a reasonable expense?
I am lucky. My expenses have been paid, David, at this stage. So my oncology, haematology, my chemotherapy is being covered. So I guess reasonable would be anything that sits inside the medical, the consensus what can fight lymphoma.
Yeah, sure.
I wouldn't be able to go and have some experimental. I imagine. So you know my medications. I'm on extra antibiotics, antivirals daily, because my immune system is lower. They are being covered, so I am grateful for that. However, I guess in Australia we are lucky. Any of us with this cancer would be our medical bills would be covered under the Medicare system or your private health.
Yeah.
As well.
But in terms of your salary, when you talked about 80%, how's that going to affect you though?
It's real. It's about $700 to $800 a fortnight when I'm not at work.
Yeah.
So it's front of mind. Should it be? Yeah, it is, because I'm a practical person and we have bills and we have expenses.
Well,
and we have life.
Everyone listening to the show, and us included, we know what the last 2 years has been like in terms of power bills, cost of food, cost of everything. Everything has gone up. Cost of living is the number one story in the world. So to have 1/5 of your salary taken away because of some arbitrary date, when you've only become crook on account of, as Will said at the start, doing a job that keeps the community safe is pretty ordinary.
Yeah, and I'm grateful that that presumption has been applied. You know, the presumptive legislation is great in many ways, but it seems to have a lot of holes, and I'm finding that out as we progress. Whether it needs to sit in another column outside of the regular workplace injuries, you know, knees, backs, shoulders, soft tissue, and have a column for these particular cancers. I don't have the answers, but someone that's going through chemotherapy, immunotherapy, the first thing should be getting well and dealing with those drugs, and the second thing, or down the bottom, should be how are we going to pay our bills.
Yeah.
So I know that's a simplified. That's how it's come across to us. So,
but you're right. It's a good point you make about the definition of injury, because it's not like a broken leg, or you've done a knee, or you've hurt your back necessarily, because it can flare up at a different point.
Yeah.
And it can be unpredictable when the treatment's going to be required, and having some sort of arbitrary 2-year sort of restriction on it doesn't really apply to something that, you know, again, I say, entirely predictable. There are these risk factors. We kind of should be across this kind of thing. I note the Attorney General in the paper the other day, he sort of sounded as though in the quote that he provided left open some wiggle room and said there may be other options available to you. Are you clear on what they are, and is there any substance to that for your individual case?
I have a really basic understanding of what he's suggesting there, is in the fact that if you are a seriously injured worker, I don't know if I fall under that category of seriously injured worker. I think I do in some respects. This is a serious condition. It's chronic. It's not curable with today's science as we sit. But I haven't lost a limb. I haven't lost an eye or hearing. I don't know whether I qualify for what he's suggesting. I can't answer that. We're not at that point yet. I haven't crossed that bridge yet.
It sounds like something that is resolvable to me by the government, and I can't imagine. And you know, being in the situation you are, mate, you might know, but I can't imagine there's hundreds and hundreds of people in this situation.
Not that I'm aware of. I'm aware of a handful of serving firefighters that are battling particular cancers, and obviously I feel for them now, and I understand their battle. There's obviously retired firefighters that aren't working anymore, so it's just, to me, it seems, a separate column for these presumptive cancers, whichever they are. If you tick the box, you will be looked after with wage support, as well as the ongoing medical support. I know it's easier said than done, but that sounds reasonable to me, I think.
If there's one upside in this, from what I understand, it's not doing any damage to your golf game.
I've had it.
Now, you're mates with Tommy Wren.
Yes, I am.
And he told me yesterday you went round in par, and he was like 11 over, and it was just the day after you had chemo.
I think it was a couple of days after one of my cycles, and I felt okay. And you have waves of nausea and vertigo, and it's shocking if you've ever had it. I've never had it before. However, I felt okay this morning. It wasn't too warm, and I said, it might have the Lance Armstrong effect on me, and sure enough,
superhuman.
When we were shaking hands, I couldn't believe it. I was par or one over, and Tom was there and he witnessed it, but he's also witnessed some very average golf on my behalf as well.
Tim Whetstone is just called in, the member for Chafee. Tim, good morning to you. You've got some legislation in the lower house. Would that apply to Gary's case?
Good morning, guys, and good morning, Gary. Thoughts are with you. I'm a cancer survivor, and I know how dealing with external pressures, what it means to you while you're dealing with all this other these issues that you shouldn't have to be dealing with. And you know, I really cannot believe that the government have turned their back on what should be the presumptive legislation that should be supporting our first responders. Look, it is something that has come out of the Legislative Council. It's now before the House of Assembly, and it's now or never, I say, to amend this bill so that we can actually deal with the issue that Gary's currently dealing with. The presumptive legislation will come into the lower house, and I think it's time that we stepped up and got the government to come on board. And you know, as Gary well knows, we are dealing with a shortage of our frontline responders, but particularly firefighters. That they walk into the unknown at most call-outs, most emergencies, and to have to think twice about walking into an emergency because they might risk their life or they might be ongoing cancers is just beyond belief. And I think the government have missed the mark on this. They've been more than stingy. They are just not supporting what is one of our vital frontline service personnel.
Yeah, well, thanks for that call, Tim, and I agree with everything you said. We'll follow it up with the government because I think that there has to be some sort of resolution on this. It's ridiculous.
I mean, we can't. I mean, as you said, you've become aware of a handful of cases, Gary. I mean, we're not talking, I imagine, tens of billions of dollars here. You know,
I imagine not. No, Yeah, it's one part of you is grateful that there is I'm getting something.
Yeah,
so I'm conscious that's fantastic, but I'm also, this is not my fault. I wouldn't change a thing. I love what I do, and hopefully I can do it for a long time. But it does hit. It does hit hard.
Completely. Yeah, we've got a family to look after. So, thanks for coming in, mate.
Thanks for having me.
We'll stay in touch.
Yeah,
good on you.
Definitely.
No worries.
Hopefully this can get resolved. As you've said repeatedly, it doesn't sound like it's that difficult. It just requires a little bit of thinking being applied to it, and hopefully that's precisely what's being done. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, mate.
All right, we're going to check traffic. Corporate Clean Property Services, they're referred for a reason after all. They don't cut corners, they clean them.
Well, a couple of crashes to watch out for on your way into work this morning in Kings Park, Goodwood Road near Crossroad, and a car's got into a Stobie pole in Gillis Plains, North East Road near Whyalla Avenue. The traffic lights are out in all directions at the lower North East Road, Valley Road intersection in Highbury, and got a burst water main in Jeps Cross, Cavan Road near Churchill Road North. Porto's new loaded garlic wrapper is packed full of deliciousness, with juicy chicken tenders, garlic sauce, chips and more, all wrapped up in a toasted pita. Grab yours today at Porto. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hi, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years we, the Lynn Andrews team, have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people, helping to make life easier for investors and tenants. Everyone is treated with empathy and respect. It's the way we do business. It's the Lynn Andrews way. For residential and commercial property management, we're here to help you. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
A life-changing win could be yours. The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery is back, and it's summertime in Somerton Park. You could win the $3.5 million grand prize, featuring a fully furnished Scott Salisbury home that ticks all the boxes and includes $500,000. Get your tickets now at homelottery.com.au. Life-changing prizes, life-changing impact. homelottery.com.au. Licence M14673.
I'm high! The Excelsior Hotel has always felt like home, and right now, you can tuck into a schnitty and a pint for just $22 in the front bar. Not bad, hey? That's a schnitty and a pint for just $22, only in the front bar. Make sure you check out their $20 jugs of the month too, plus live acoustic music every Saturday and Sunday from 5 till 8 p.m. The Excelsior Hotel. Feels like home, but better. You just know it's a Barreau Hotel.
Dust off those flared pants and shine those platform shoes. The 64 are back at Gluttony with their electrifying tribute to the 70s. Prepare for non-stop hits, celebrating legends like the Bee Gees, Elton John, ABBA, Kiss, Sherbet, the Skyhooks and more.
You've already got all the gear to get along to this, haven't you, Will?
Oh, yeah. Whether they want me to or
54.
not.
That's right. No, it's going to be a great night. This high-energy 60-minute show will groove you from start to finish. Now, they're a true SA success story. The 64 has dazzled audiences worldwide, breathing new life into classic hits with dynamic choreography and intricate vocal harmonies.
The 64 bring their Las Vegas-style extravaganza to Gluttony, hailed as Australia's best tribute act. The 64, living in the 70s at Peacock in Gluttony, Rymel Park. 9 shows only. Tickets available via the Fringe website.
Hyundai's Keys to Summer event is here. Unlock offers across a wide range of Hyundai models. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
9 to 9, I want to play you a bit of confronting audio that was recorded at a year out, inside a Year 8 classroom at St Paul's College in Gillis Plains on Monday. 7 News last night revealed this. This is a parent interacting with a 12-year-old child.
You want to go, bitch? You want to go? You want to go to my daughter again? I'm going to my daughter, bitch. Are you want to daughter? Yeah, you want to my daughter again? I'll see you first. I'll be waiting for you. That's small.
I tell you what, we had a couple of texts saying, if someone was picking on my child, I'd go and stick up for them too. Sorry, this woman is a card-carrying idiot. That video, I'd only heard the audio. I hadn't seen the video. That happened in a classroom filled with 12-year-old kids.
Yeah.
How terrified would those kids have been? Her ranting like a banshee. And what you say, that you do that out of love for your child. That's just distressing for absolutely everybody.
And it doesn't help your child probably ultimately either. And it
doesn't help anybody.
Opens up a conversation with the Education Minister who joins us now, Blair Boyer, on an element of behaviour in schools that we don't often talk about. Blair, we often discuss with you what's happening in terms of child's behaviour, but what about the parents? What statistics do we have about how commonplace this is, or whether it's something that's getting worse? Good morning to you.
And good morning, and thanks for having me on. And that's very hard to listen to, and the video is not easy to watch either. And you're right, it's a classroom full of 12-year-olds who were, had to sit there and listen to that. I'm sure they would have a lot of questions that they would be asking their own parents about what went on last night. But sadly, we are seeing increases in this kind of behaviour reported by our teaching staff, and that's in the public, independent and Catholic systems, and by principals. In fact, the bit of work we did around what we should do in terms of strengthening those protections and our powers to bar parents from schools showed that principals were saying that the top source of issues for them were, in terms of parents, bullying, 57.9%, cyberbullying, 88.5%, which is a real concern, gossip and slander, 65.1%. So these are all things that a lot of principals, system-wide, are reporting as things that they are being subjected to by parents and carers of the kids that they educate. And that example we just heard then, I think, is probably the most full-on example I've heard. But that's not to say that there are other examples of that occurring that just haven't been captured by a phone or recorded.
Yeah. I think, too, as the Education Minister, Mr. Boyer, you're obviously, you're not in charge of private schools, you're in charge of state schools, but we see certain state schools crop up a bit with incidents, but, this is a private Catholic school where this occurred.
And it is, and it shows that these kind of things do happen everywhere, and that teachers and principals, no matter whether they teach in a public school, a Catholic school, or an independent school, are being subjected to this kind of behaviour. And it comes at a time when we've got a national teacher shortage crisis. We're hardly in a position to allow our staff to be treated like that, as we're essentially pleading with people to stay in the profession and pleading with young people to choose it as a career for them. And they would see footage like that and hear audio like that, and I'm sure wonder why they would want to be in a classroom and subjected to something like that when they could choose another job.
Well, this is it. I mean, you wonder, like, the aftermath of what that mother did in that situation yesterday, or in the video that was shown yesterday. Like, the job would then fall to the teacher to try to compose all of those kids. The teacher would she would have probably been beside herself. You can imagine her going into the principal's office and breaking down. It's just
exactly.
But I just, the extent to which parent management has become part of the challenge for teachers, it does appear to be a bit of a growing issue.
Oh, it absolutely is. And I tell the anecdote, Dave, too, about my own father's experience. Did 40 years in the public school system. Between 1972 and 2012, at the end of his career, he was often asked what had changed, and that's the example he always gave. When he spoke to a parent about a bad behaving child back at the start of his career, there was support and there was an apology and a commitment to work with the teacher to rectify it. At the end of his career, there was a kind of something more akin to that torrent of abuse directed at him. And he said he felt like he spent more of his time at the end of his career managing the behaviour of parents than he did actually teaching, and that's not why he became a teacher in the first place. And I think there's lots of other educators who share those views.
Yeah, 100%. Blair Boyer, the Education Minister, thanks for joining us.
It's quite confronting. A few police.
She said the F word 7 times at the top of her lungs. She was so.
I think there might have been other swear words in there as well.
The B word about 4 times. Her little parting shot was, "I'll slit your effing throat."
There's still some defence coming through on the police home care text line.
G'day. Seriously, think, people. Plug your brains in, will you? Anyone who endorses that, sorry. It's not a demonstration of love for your own child.
Others, like Craig, say that parents should be banned from all school grounds and kids' sports. Disgraceful behaviour. someone else says that kind of behaviour should warrant jail time. It's schools should be a safe place for kids. They should feel safe whenever they're there, and that doesn't add to it. But a lot of people are wondering what the precursor was that led to that, and how that was managed.
Whatever it was doesn't justify it.
No, not at all. It's not how you resolve a conflict.
Yeah, well, it's funny though. Like as I said, all those state schools that keep copping it through the media as being, yet again, the school of horrors. The independent system not immune.
Oh, well, that's humanity, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
There's people everywhere. 5AA News is coming up. We're out of time on this Wednesday, the 5th of February. Graham Goodings is coming up next, and we'll be back tomorrow morning from 6.